You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, the most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Let me introduce my guest to you, Alexander Chumberema. He's Deputy Director General of the Narcotics Control Commission. Dr. Arthur Kennedy is physician and political activist. Oliver Bakavomowo is constitutional rights and policy strategy advisor at the Democracy Hub. John Dako is member of parliament for Swami. And these are our guests, and perhaps some others who may join us because they are connected to some of the stories that we are canvassing, the issues we are canvassing for you this morning. I'll go straight to Dr. Arthur Kennedy to begin our very first discussion. We want to look at the NPP, whether they are digging a hole for themselves or they are actually seeking to mend wounds in the party by hauling Kennedy Japan. Some members have hauled him by petitions for disciplinary action, and the disciplinary action will be to the effect that he's put up anti-party conduct by the comments he has made recently, suggesting that the party in government didn't do so well and defaulted in a number of projects, including the Afari Hospital, military hospital, that came up for discussion, and also that Agenda 111 hospitals was just a corruption, thing. People were handed them for just purposes of making money, as in wrongly. But before I do that, let me make this quick announcement. Yeah, it's an announcement I'm making. The Office of the Upper East Regional Coordinating Council is inviting the general business community, investors, and development partners to a landmark Upper East Business, Regional Development and Business Forum and Exhibition. This is taking place from the 29th of June to July 1st at the Desert Pastures. You know Desert Pastures in Bogatanga, that's Reverend Istudanabe's church. And there will be a launch of the historic event, which will feature His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, and this is designed to mobilize some 8.6 billion in investment across 15 districts. And it's a comprehensive 10-year blueprint that focuses on driving socio-economic transformation through enterprise, agriculture, resilience, and livelihoods. That's where I come from. And so we're inviting all of you to come and help for our region to grow. Let me go to Dr. Arthur Kennedy first. Thanks for making time to join us, sir.
Morning to your viewers and to you. Thank you for being here.
Great. So we will soon place some of the matters that have come into focus for which Kennedy Japan is being invited, and within 2 weeks his fate has to be determined. You have suggested that there is no basis for wanting to subject him to discipline. Why so? In the face of the conduct which from your party's constitution is not encouraged?
Actually, I'm doubling down on my opinion that these petitions and therefore the resulting processes that Honorable Kennedy Japan is about to be subject to are unwarranted. I took a lot of time to listen to Ken's initial comments about the Afari Hospital, and then even his subsequent comments after he got blowback. I am at a loss to see how those things are infringements of the party's constitution. Indeed, since the loss of the election, there have been a number of bodies set up to find out the causes of our defeat. The Michael Kwe Committee nationally, there was a HM Sambunzu Committee in Ashanti region, and most of them have come to similar conclusions. And what Kennedy Japan said was that our position, or at least the position of the MPs on the Afari Hospital, is hypocritical, or in the most generous terms, invites the charge that there's a double standard, that regardless of whatever the situation was, the MPP inherited a partially built Afari Hospital, and its government had 8 years to complete it. Indeed, it's not as if the government did not prioritize healthcare. It launched Agenda 111, said that it needed to build facilities to help give our healthcare a boost. So for something that's significant, in a region that's significant to the party, not to be completed in an 8-year period, frankly, was a failure. And the Honorable was just making the point, which was obvious to most Ghanaians, and I have made the same point too. Indeed, if you look at some of the data that is out there, Kennedy Japan helpfully suggested that he was the chairman of the Parliamentary Defense Committee, and that they had sought to visit the hospital when he was chairman, and the then MPP government had denied them permission to do so, which is exactly what this NDC government is doing. And Samson, you are a lawyer. There are a lot of lawyers on the panel. Truth itself is a defense. If indeed what the honorable gentleman is saying is factual, I find it hard to see how that becomes an offense. And more to the point, actually, aside from the details of this particular case, I am concerned about the broader poster of the MPP. I think that our politics has changed in a way that respectfully those who are running the party are refusing to take cognizance of. Kennedy Japan has significant support in the MPP and among the broad public in Ghana. He has made allegations now that he believes that our failure to complete Agenda 111 was partly due to corruption, and that contracts were sold. One would think that for the MPP that has been the vanguard of advancing our democratic experiment, that if such allegations are made, the people who would be in the dock are those who allegedly were at the heart of the selling contracts of Agenda 111 to people for profits. This kind of accountability will put the party in very good stead. It will seem that the party is more interested in shutting down the ones speaking the truth and calling for accountability rather than the corporates. And I respectfully suggest that maybe if they ought to be disciplinary hearings, those disciplinary hearings ought not be about Kennedy Japan's comments, which are true, but about those who may have been at the heart of the corruption he's suggesting. For example, what did the former president know? What did the former minister of health know? What did other members of parliament know? Because it is worrying that we can start 111 hospitals, which is a very good idea, and be unable to actualize most of them. And in actual fact, on the bottom of his allegations, he does also say that the NDC government is also involved in similar cases of corruption, and he cites his wife, who has been approached with a contract under very similar terms from the MPP allegations that he makes. So now, are we running, in effect, a plutocratic, kleptocratic democracy?
Is it your suggestion?
A government of rich thieves?
Is it your suggestion that at this very disciplinary committee, it's an opportunity for Kennedy Japan to disclose the further and better particulars of the allegations of corruption he makes against the Agenda 111 project and the current allegations against the current government?
Absolutely. As a patriot, he has an obligation to do so. He himself has said he's a patriot. But I'm just saying that it will seem that Kennedy Japan ought to be in front of the committee, not as a culprit or the accused person, but as a witness or an interested party, because obviously on the surface of the allegations he makes, there are more significant people who ought to be facing disciplinary action,
so that,
not just from the MPP, but from the Ghanaian government.
Right, so that when he appears to this disciplinary committee, he should disclose who it is that approached his wife with the attempt to corrupt her by asking for advance payments of, as in corrupt money, advance payment in corruption, in advancement of corruption for a particular project, and then the Agenda 111, the people who got the contracts corruptly. He should make a disclosure, names, dates, particular contracts, and so on. Is that what you suggest?
Exactly, and I'm not even stopping there. I'm saying that bodies like Shraj, who have the obligation to investigate corruption, have an obligation not to ignore what is happening within the MPP. I think that the Honorable has opened a very patriotic kind of worms. Of course, we can ask about why he waited so long to bring these things to public, but now we know about it. We should deal with it. And I think that this dealing with it should not be just within the MPP and that they've got the wrong accused person in the dock. And Ghana should follow up on his lead. But having said that, I also want to offer some advice to the MPP. That
before the advice,
politics is about
before the
numbers,
advice,
yes.
Dr. Kennedy, before the advice, you are saying this morning that Kennedy Japan should be going to Shraj or to the police or to whichever law enforcement agency to make full complaints about the allegations of corruption he says he knows about. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. And even failing his own voluntary approach to these bodies, some of them, in effect, in the public interest, have powers to summon him for information and others who may have knowledge of these things. So I think that the MPP, indeed, consistent with its obligation to Ghana, should be calling more people, and I should expect that Shraj and other bodies, because I am very interested in the idea that there was corruption in the past government, which we've all been talking about, and that there is corruption going on now. So in addition to Ura being Ura, now we are being told that not only is Ura itself not showing enough vim, that the very offenses for which we have been making noise about Ura may be occurring under this very government. And if you add the comments of people like Fifi Kwete and others about people making deals to, in effect, ease corrupt people out of harm's way and others, it means that the problem of corruption still exists and it is still destroying this country.
You raised a question, a legitimate question. If Kennedy Japan knew about corruption under the Agenda 111, why is he talking today? Why didn't he say anything about that earlier? Why didn't he report to the police, OSP, Iyoko, or Shraj then? Why didn't he report to the party or the president at the time?
They are legitimate questions, but of course, what do they call it? Confession is good for the soul. So it is better late than never. These issues are still live and very legitimate. And not only that, the MPP ought not to be angry at him. They should be angry at those who did this, because it was part of why we faced the defeat on the scale that we faced it. Having said that,
you said
my advice
before we
is
go to the advice, you said the MPP should be angry at those who did this. Explain that. What do you mean by those who did this?
Those who, in effect, corruptly distributed the contracts that prevented the completion of the Agenda 111 hospitals. Indeed, I can say that they have blood on their hands, because
you are taking the allegations as facts.
On the surface of it, if what do they call a fish comes from under the water to say that when he was coming, the crocodile was dead at the bottom of the river, we should take that as, because Kennedy Japan is not a layperson just bandying charges. He was an MPP insider, a member of parliament. So I presume that if he is saying this, he must have some significant knowledge of activities that occurred. Not only that, contemporaneously, we all know that there was a lot of corruption in the MPP government. It's just that we don't have the details yet of all of them. Again, and this is a significant development.
But some will ask that this is an individual that you may want to be cautious in taking his word. You don't agree that there have been many occasions where he's doubled in stuff that are plainly untrue?
That is reasonable, but I am just saying that the MPP should be interested in chasing down the truth or otherwise of his allegations rather than trying to shut him down, because this disciplinary procedure is a gag operation. It is meant to shut him down. And I think that as patriots and as a political party that I can attest is very interested in the development of Ghana, we ought to be interested in more than just gagging him or shutting him down.
Are you unhappy and supportive of him and against the party because you suffered a similar, fate by disciplinary action of sort or pronouncement to say that people like you, Nyahotamaklo, and the rest of you, sort of persona non grata in the party because of certain conduct, or that and if you are doing that, don't you think that you are actually working against the proper structure and procedures and laws within the party that should hold any group together? Because you have rules, you have laws that are against anti-party behavior. If you do things that damages the reputation of the party, you are subject to discipline. Why should he be an exception?
He shouldn't be, Samson, but respectfully and to the people of Ghana, I think the idea that the MPP, and for that matter the NDC, parties that are subject to proper discipline, has always been fiction. We honor rules in the breach. In actual fact, going as far back in the MPP as 1998, Kakra Isamoah was trying to draw attention to improper conduct by high-ups in the party when he was drummed up out of the party, not for the good of the party, but because they thought that he was opening doors people didn't want the public to see into. Harun Esiku was on suspension when they brought him back to be chair, clearly against the rules of the party. That is not all. We have seen a lot of people do things that would be improper and be ignored, while other people, indeed, we have made non-party members running mates of the party, while genuine party members have been disqualified as parliamentary candidates. But I'm saying that, and in the NDC, people like Fifi Kwete have made significant allegations about corruption that have been ignored. And even now, as we are talking now, I'm just saying that when you look at this case, for a party interested in the interests of the public and in accountability and others, it will seem as if we are backing down the wrong tree. I think that we ought to be encouraging him. We ought to be finding out those who committed the malfeasance that caused our election and may have caused the deaths of Ghanaian citizens.
Dr. Kennedy, you said that Fifi Kwete's allegations about people trying to make, as it were, interventions and so on for people who may have done wrong and so on. You say that it was ignored. What has been your expectation? That he too, his party, perhaps would have invited him as a general secretary to give further and better particulars about names of individuals and the specific interventions that are being made to, as it were, frustrate law enforcement or corruption investigations, or that, you know, he rather should have made a complaint to constituted law enforcement to investigate?
All those are valid points, but I'm just saying that putting all these together and looking at the environment, it will seem as if our duopoly, or two major political parties, are not interested in accountability. Indeed, if you remember, after Baba Jamal's election, the president boldly set up a committee to look at the circumstances that led to his election. All that goes to political malfeasance and corruption in our body politic. They suddenly somersaulted and found that he did nothing wrong. Before then, 3 gentlemen in the MPP spent a week in which each of them spent 100 million Ghana cedis, in effect auctioning the nomination for the party. Nobody did anything. I'm just saying that the role of corruption in our body politic is undermining significantly the foundations of our democracy. And I want to suggest that the MPP ought to be helping to fight this and reaching out to the NDC to join it, so that we clean up our politics rather than victimizing those who are stepping forward courageously to make these allegations, even if belatedly.
Right. I'll come to the studio, but before that, you suggest, and the advice you say you will give, we'll take the advice later, but you suggest that if crimes are being committed and somebody is a witness to the crime, they should be doing what you say a patriotic duty, regardless of the fact that they knew about the alleged crimes and said nothing about the alleged crimes until they contested an election internally in the party. They lost and appear to be unhappy, and therefore are taking stance against the party. If
yes, I do. And you know,
my question is, is it actually a patriotic act to make these comments and make them now without actually reporting them to constituted law enforcement bodies? And you say some of them can invite him. But for example, Sharad cannot invite him unless he has made an official complaint. If he doesn't make the complaint, whoever is being subjected to the process will throw Sharad's attempt to investigate away.
I mean, we don't live with angels. You know, all of us are flawed in a certain sense. Yes, ideally, the best time for Honorable Kennedy Japon to speak up would have been the first time he got wind of these corrupt acts in relation to Agenda 111. But he didn't. The important thing is that he's doing so now, and the statute of limitations have not run out. I'm just saying that
how do patriotic people report crime? How do patriotic people report crime?
Generally, they go to the police, but I'm also saying that where we are, I think that the MPP maybe serendipitously have put itself in a place where it will aid law enforcement, because I presume that during his disciplinary action, if he makes available to the committee information that bear on crimes, as a patriotic organization, the MPP will be duty-bound to let law enforcement agencies know that they are in possession of information that there was criminal conduct by members of his erstwhile government. And I urge the NDC to follow the example by looking at the allegations that are being made by Fifi Kwete and others. And actually here on your program, remember I have talked about how slow URA has been. I've talked about this cavalcade of noli prosequis that I thought has significant political things that made me uncomfortable with the integrity of our political and judicial systems.
Please hold on for me there. And Chum has joined us in the studio. I'll ask him what his views are on this particular matter, unless he will say, well, this is Dufia's matter, so he's not interested. Now, And we know something that has become a subculture, that big people, quote unquote, make very wild allegations, and they got all of us livid. And when they are invited by law enforcement, remember Andy Akubi and his allegations about the Ken Must Go situation, about some bribe that was money bagged into Parliament to bribe anybody. When the OSP invited him, he refused to cooperate, he refused to say anything. And yet we are happy, we are fine, we are moving on. That was not the first. There have been several others that people make allegations and they don't follow up. When they are even being asked to speak, they refuse. Let's listen to the comments by Kenneth Japan that have led to the petitions by some of the members to the party for discipline.
I respect you, that be do. Who be to say cock and me, ya pay me to him. When even you better. And before we are ready, me see June July 2027, me no more action. I will Ghana. You'll be surprised. You think I'm stupid? I'm stupid to come and follow you guys again? I'm stupid. Honorable. You have a 10 cents of Canadian. No wait and see what will happen. Miss Romo, me catch Romo, me see Miss Romo cabinet. No wait and see. I've given you the time. Say June 2027. You see action in this country.
Oh.
You know, I was the chairman for Defense and Interior. This hospital, NDC, it was started by President Akufo, the locations and all those things. NDC came to start it whenever. When we came, I'm an MPP, but I have to tell you the truth. We're talking about Ghana and nobody. We didn't do anything. Read my lips. I'm telling you the gospel truth. I was the chairman for Defense and Interior. When we decided to go and inspect Afari, they stopped us. We didn't go. So I heard somebody talking 15 months. Has Afari Hospital been there for 15 months? We were there for 8 years. You didn't do it. Don't blink your eye. See, we are not doing politics. I'm speaking the truth. This is Ghana. Stop that. We will criticize NDC, we will criticize MPP. That's the only way to go. I was chairman. NDC started this. Why didn't you complete it? You were there for 8 years, you didn't complete it. When somebody comes for 15 months, then you have a problem. Please, give me a break. Ghana, we should love our nation and stop playing politics with everything and do the right thing for the country. And that is what I'm doing. You see, when I mentioned MPP, he was blinking his eye. Why do you want me to criticize NDC and leave MPP? When I know that both parties, they didn't do the right thing for the country.
Right. Good morning.
My view, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so even before I will comment, let me first of all extend some greetings to some key individuals who joined us yesterday to celebrate World Drugs Day at UPSA. And this is in no particular order, but one key person was the chief imam. As old as our grandfather is or our father is, he was able to join us with his team yesterday at UPSA, showing his commitment, his support to drug abuse and the need for us as a country to come together and get this out of our way before it becomes something that we can bear. And also let me thank the Chief of Staff who came in to represent the President, and the message also that the President gave to us, which was played live video at a program also showing his utmost commitment to the fight against illicit drugs, among others. Then finally, to congratulate my boss, the Director General, who, as at yesterday, had been promoted to the rank of Major General in the Ghana Armed Forces. A very big congratulations to him. Now to Ken's issue. Let me take it from the audio or the videos that you played. The first one was about he showing displeasure about some comments or ill comments that one of your party young men said about him.
And that was after this comment, the last comment you heard.
Yeah,
the last comment he made, things were said, and then he reacted. So you go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so he was mentioning that somebody has said that I think they've opened his head or something. I mean, clearly, we do politics. My brother sitting on my left is an MPP. We meet and we do our politics. But insult to someone who may be older than you or even your mate is not right. Say your issues, criticize constructively, whatever. But not to single the person out and use things that might have happened to the person not intentionally. Even if it is true that they've opened his head, it might have happened out of medical grounds or reasons. This is not something that you should use against the person.
Does it matter that the person you are dealing with actually is a chief doer of what you say should not be done? The use of insults.
You see, the fact that the person you even is doing it doesn't mean you should even copy.
Okay.
You understand? We cannot be sitting and say that because somebody is insulting, I'm also coming to sit here and also insult. I mean, that is wrong.
But they say that you know law. They say that he who comes to equity
must come with clean hands.
Must come with clean hands. So if you are known to be insulting all the time, and somebody insults you back, should you be this angry and threatening your party that in July of 2027 they should get ready? You are not stupid to follow them. You will show them a whole lot of things.
So I mean, we will come there, but let's still dwell on the issue of insulting politics. Samson, it doesn't matter what the person wants. I know. I mean, if you have to go on Ken's issue and whatever you have said in the past, you play and play and play. In fact, it will take the whole show. We know. But my point is that it is wrong, because whenever he was doing that, we are condemning him. That what he's doing is evil, what he's doing is wrong. He didn't need to press them. I mean, we can cite and cite and cite. But we still don't have to promote it. No matter whom he was doing it to, whether to his own MPP people or to the NDC side or to whoever, it is wrong. We don't have to apply or attach insult to our politics. Let's deal with the issues, let's criticize ourselves, I mean, give alternative views or arguments, but not to be singling individuals out and be attacking them or by insulting them. No, that one is wrong. But now the other issue is that I think when he went to the police station or something, he was interviewed and was mentioning his colleagues who had gone to Afari Hospital, I mean, demanding its completion, and then his point is that, well, you were in power for 8 years. Afari Hospital didn't come yesterday. It has also been there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from the 2012-2016 era of John Dramani Mahama. That is when that hospital commenced. Unfortunately, the one who started it couldn't complete it because of change of government. He left. A new government came, and the government or governance is continuing. So once you come in, you inherit liability and assets. For that reason, whatever you met which was good, you continue. And hospital is one key thing that you can never downplay. Do you think the party people would have been angry if this is all he said? Because he said, they did nothing. But what did they do? Did they complete it? Oh, I thought you knew that they did something. They completed it. We have facts. Not completing. He said they did nothing. So Dr. Nsiansari and the others came with the facts to show the same. Dr. Nsiansari was quoted by Dr. Baumia in a video that I watched that they have been agreed or scheduled a date to commission the hospital. Was it done that year or that time that, I mean, his vice president, the then candidate, mentioned? The answer is no. The answer is no. But if any government will push for something for his people, it should have been NDP in the Ashanti region. Because this hospital is situated in the Ashanti region. Their strongest hold. So even if they would have turned blind eye onto any policy or property or program of a government, it shouldn't have been something that is situated in their own stronghold. Which they know that the pressure that is on Komfo Anokye is overwhelming. almost every other region close to Asante region comes to Komfo-Anokye whenever they have an extreme case that they can handle in their region. So with you having that military hospital in Asante region was a plus. And you should have done everything possible to make sure that at least within 4 years, you should have just gotten the hands off it. But what happened? The answer is no, they couldn't finish it. Now you go off.
I'm saying that, do you sincerely think that if what he said was that they didn't complete it, they didn't do, they should have, they did something but didn't complete it, they would have been angry, and some of them saying that what he was telling us was false, because he said that they did nothing, which in fact is false. So if he, who was chair of the defense interior committee, which he touts, goes to a place to talk when this matter comes up, and he says the MPP did nothing, should they be concerned?
Okay. So reasonably, if they knew that they did something, they would definitely be concerned, because they would think that whatever you are saying is not true.
And the fact is that they did something.
But you see,
whether they completed it is a question.
Samson. Let's ask ourselves a very simple question. What was the timeline for the hospital to be completed? And how long were they in power? Was it scheduled to be completed in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? If the answer to any of these questions that I'm asking comes lower than your term of office, then the question is that why didn't you complete it? Why did you leave it hanging? Is it because you are not interested? Because if you were interested, you would do everything humanly and reasonably possible to ensure that it is done and done well, and commission for your own people, your strongest hold. If you are attaching politics to it, it is your strongest hold. So anything possible, you will not even if you need money, you need to borrow. You would have borrowed to fix that hospital or to complete it. Do you understand the point I'm making? So once you left it and didn't get it done, he is just letting you understand that you don't have the locals to be questioning someone who has been in power for 1.5 years when you were there for more than the term that he is in. And couldn't finish this thing even when you had even mentioned or scheduled a time or a month that you had wanted to commission it. What happened? It's a real hospital in Bosumju constituency or district. That one too was not completed. All the things he was mentioning are factual, they are true. You understand? They are true. But now, me, the interesting thing was, is that when I saw the video of the young men persons who said they were going to file the petition at the, is it the party office or to the National Council rather? And those rather who are going to file a petition, I rather fight them among us. It was the interesting thing. So I said, you that is going to cause somebody to be disciplined, you are also indisciplined. Who does that? You understand? There is nothing wrong if the party thinks that whatever he has done, they need to take him through some disciplinary procedures. Every institution has its own rules and regulations. If they think that his actions or his conduct violates any of their constitutional principles or whatever, they have no right to take him through. But the one thing is that they should be careful. Because you see, whether you like it or not, Kennedy at the point has followers. Whether you like it or not, there are people that no matter what they will throw their support for Kennedy at the point. Looking at your state now, politically, your strength, having gone for a national election and lost so much votes, even though you tend to be blaming, that, people didn't go to vote, which is a lie. That because your strong vote people did not go to vote, that is how come you lost. It's not true. If you have to go by that argument, you see that it's never true. But having lost such an election, and then you trying to put yourself together, I remember not long ago, I saw the General Secretary saying that, they are going to do everything possible to bring people together. Okay. So if the same person, if you want to bring people together, want to also take away people, then the question is, what president are you setting?
Let me turn the question this way to you. Because I discovered that for some aspects of the information, you are disinterested. So, if somebody in your party, regardless of their status, made the comments he made that when you were in power, there was a hospital project commenced by one government, and when you came in power, you did No, he said you did nothing.
Okay.
So you shouldn't be complaining today. You did nothing. And because that person who is a member of your party, I was in the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. I was the chair, so I know the facts. And then you, the party, know the contrary facts. That it is not the case that you didn't do anything, except you didn't complete it. And in fact, there were issues that were outstanding. There was a back and forth with the contractor. There were payment issues. I'll read a letter to you later about the payment issues and disagreements with the contractor, where the contractor was instructed by the government to proceed and complete the project because the outstanding payment was a certain amount and the contractor was asking for some other amount, and they said, no, this is the only amount you are due, and that's what you have to do and complete the project. Your party would have said to him that, oh, that's fine, you are criticizing, and so you should not be subject to any discipline. Is that what you're saying?
No. You see, you have raised some key issues when it comes to contract payment. For any contract,
my question to you, let's not go there. My question to you.
But wait.
No. This is the question I want you to answer. The question I want you to answer is that flip it, that he was in your party and he made comments which you find as a matter of fact are not true. What will you do?
No, I've stated it here that every political party has its own rules and regulations. And once someone violates them, taking him or her through any disciplinary procedure, it's not wrong. We've done some key persons in NDC. Okay. You saw that of Torkornoo. You saw that of our own former regional chairman, authoritative. So it's not new.
Even members of parliament.
Exactly. So it's not new. If someone does that and is against that party's rules and regulations, and you want to take him on for having violated your rules, I have no problem. But the other thing is that you should also not lose fact of the issues that he is raising. Okay. Are they factual or they are not?
That's the question.
Exactly. Exactly. So
are they factual that they did nothing? No. I'm asking you that question.
My point is that they were supposed to have completed
for the 8 years.
We needed the hospital to be completed. It's not about you having added something to it.
Let's not debate
complete
that.
it.
It's not complete. That one we know.
Why didn't they complete?
No.
So why didn't they complete it?
Did they do nothing?
They're asking John Mahama to complete it.
Did they do nothing?
They're asking John Mahama to complete. Did they complete it?
Okay, thank you.
They did not.
So this letter of November 2024.
Okay.
Rate credit facility agreement between the government of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and Messrs. Eurojet D-Invest SA of Giza, Egypt, for the turnkey construction and equipping of 500-bed military hospital at Afari, Kumasi. Notice of delayed payment. ED consolidated claim 01 and notice for claim 02. It's a very short letter, so I'm reading it. Under the hand of Dr. Muhammad Amin Adam, who was the
Finance Minister
for Finance at the time. It says, we are in receipt of your letter dated 5th July 2024, requesting for payment of 6.5 million or so, 6.5 million US dollars from the initial claim of 10 million US dollars.
Okay.
2, you will recall that in your letter of 14 July 2023, you agreed to the payment of 3,500, or is it 3,500,000? Okay, US dollars, being the outstanding claim value and associated financial cost on the project. This followed discussions at which we negotiated for you to complete the project with that amount, the 3.5. 3. It has therefore come as a surprise that you are making a claim for the balance of 6.5, barely a month after the negotiated claim of 3.5 was made. We are therefore, by this letter, informing you that as far as our records are concerned, this ministry has settled the full amount of the claims made by Eurojet D Invest. You are duly requested to take the necessary steps to complete the project. We count on your usual cooperation. What do you say about this?
I mean, this is government writing to the contractor, if I'm right.
Replying the contractor.
Replying the contractor, yes, based on his request that he has made, that he's requesting for 6.5, but the government is claiming that prior to that request, they had made some payment, or they have agreed, or they have negotiated to a fee of 3.5. So having paid that money, they don't owe him again to pay him more. You see, another thing that we also have to check is that once you delay a project for so long, certain costs that you should have incurred earlier increases.
This was 2 months after.
And I'm coming.
His letter, 2 months after they negotiated and finished what he requested.
So what if whatever they negotiated?
Within the 2 months,
agreed.
You are saying that what?
No, agreed. What if whatever amount they negotiated, at some point maybe the contractor too didn't agree to that figure? Because
the letter said this was agreed.
Yes, this is a side of government. But we've not seen the side of the contractor. But my point is that what if that, I mean, at that point, or after that, they met, and maybe they went back and realized that no, if you had to agree to this, ABCD will be happening, and that we will not be able to finish this work. And that is how come maybe they are coming back with a different figure. It is possible. You understand? It is construction. Once you understand construction, certain things are permitted. So what if they came back with some, this based on the claim or the grounds that if we should accept this 3.5, we will not be able to do the work as we want us to do. Because the government is instructing them that having paid you that money, go back to work and go and get the work done. But maybe they also believe that if they should go back, they will not be able to do the work and finish it the way you want them to do based on that rate. You understand? So we can't just, take one side and then draw a conclusion that because government wrote that letter to them, everything was cool, so they should have gone ahead and then complete the work. No. We should know the side of the contractors and then understand why they agreed or negotiated on 3.5, and after some few days or some few months or weeks, they went back to claim more instead of the actual rate that they agreed on. There will be a reason. We can't just show that reason that they might have cited and then just go on to the point that because government wrote to you, you should have just gone ahead and then do it.
Thank you. John.
Yes.
So the question is being asked you guys, what is it? He says you are acting hypocritical. You are pressurizing a government barely 2 years to complete a project that 8 years you didn't complete, which was started by the previous administration. That is hypocritical.
Well, thank you.
And he said you did nothing.
Yeah.
So what is all this? Now you go at him and he's threatening you that be careful, because in June or July 2027, you guys will have him to deal with, because he's going to show you something.
Showdown part 2.
And that Agenda 111, you gave it for corruption and so on.
Samson. Thank you, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. I think that as a party, we've taken a position on this to refer the former MP to the disciplinary committee, and I hope and believe that all of us will just make sure that we await the decision of the disciplinary committee on this. I have known the Honorable Kennedy Japan. I have served on the same board with him, so I know him very well. And the members of the party, we know him, we've had a very good relationship with him. I don't think that this is the time for us to be fighting in public. My advice is that as party members, we await the decision of the disciplinary committee. He is a member of the party, a good member, as that his contribution to the party cannot be underestimated. He's paid his due. He served the party in parliament for 24 years. And so his stature in the party cannot, like I said, be underestimated at all. And so
Dr. Kennedy says he's literally a whistleblower at this time, and he needs to be supported rather than taken to the Sahindrin to be crucified.
No, but if you go to the disciplinary committee, it doesn't mean that you'll be crucified. I mean, the party has structures. If you have any issue, you go through that particular channel, you know. And so the party will sit down with him, the disciplinary committee will sit down with him, he will air his views, they will listen to him. They may well come out and say that, look, after sitting down with him, we don't think that there's any issue, we should move on as a party. Because really, if you look at it...
You're saying that after sitting down with him, they may come and say there's nothing.
Yeah.
When the man says that Agenda 111, you gave it to corruption. He knows as a matter of fact.
No. I mean, look, these days you're going to hear a lot of these allegations. The NDC has said words about us, and of course he's one of us. Maybe he may have evidence to support his claim when he meets the disciplinary committee. If he has the evidence to support, I'm sure they may help him to prosecute whoever it is that engage in that corruption. If he's unable to provide any evidence, then I'm sure the party will take a decision. My position is that, especially for those of us who are young in the party, I mean the leadership, we should be careful condemning each other because we have one party to build, we have an election to win. And so as much as possible, we should be measured when we are talking about elders of the party. Like I said, I have worked with him for at least 4 years, and so I know him personally, and I know his love for the party and country. And so I will just employ the leadership of the party to handle his issue tactfully. Look, as a party, I don't think that it helps anybody to continue to, as it were, wish people away out of the party. We should, as much as possible, bring everybody on board. Look, during a campaign, what do? We spend millions of cedis, go out there to convince people to come join us. We try to even convince the NDC people to join us and vote for our cause. And so I will plead that we don't make this such a big issue. See, my only worry is that before Ken came in,
it's a big issue.
No, what I'm saying,
it's gone for processing, and they have been giving 2 weeks to determine his fate.
No, but he'll be called.
Yeah,
he'll be called.
It's a big issue. He says that watch out for 2027, July or so.
You see, it helps the NDC to blow this out of proportion. I know that nothing is going to happen in July.
He says, he says his words. He's not stupid to follow you guys. That's what he said.
No, but you see.
Because you are corrupt. He doesn't want to be part of a corrupt party.
Those are your words. He never said.
That's what he said.
No. You know, he never said that he's not followers because you are corrupt. Samson, mind your words. He mentioned, and I didn't fight with you. He said he's not stupid to follow. He didn't say because you are corrupt. So choose your words carefully. The man is not happy about something, and he articulated that when he spoke. But for me, as a party, there are bigger issues we need to be dealing with. My worry, like I was saying, was that the Committee on Health had gone to Afari and had brought the issue, the neglect of Afari Hospital, to the front burner for discussion. And we believe that it was a very good opportunity for us as a party to coalesce around that issue. Because look, Afari Hospital, contrary to what I believe what my brother here is saying, what Honorable Ken said, the NPP had done so much. If you look at the percentage of completion, we had done so much that it had left just few things to be done for the hospital to be commissioned. So for instance, when it comes to the civil works, it stood at 97%.
That has been disputed.
No, the staff housing, 77%, roads, about 80%, landscaping, 77%. So a lot of work had gone in. So for Ken to come out to say that nothing had been done, of course, was to go contrary to what the party has said. So my point is this: we have bigger issues to deal with, and Ken being this elder in the party is supposed to coalesce around the issues the party raised rather than opposing it. And that is where, for me, I disagree with him. And so if the party is going to call him as they have done, I believe this is in the right direction. We should allow the process to continue. Ken is still an integral part of our party. He hasn't left the party. We hope that he stays for us to fight and win power in 2028. let us not blow this out of proportion, because there are bigger issues. There's meth flying in and out of this country like nobody's business. These are real issues that are affecting
we will discuss that shortly. Thank you. Of course, it's part of the discussion.
So these are bigger issues, and I think
so
that
Oliver, thank you very much for joining us today.
So this one is not a bigger issue.
No. What do you say? The disciplinary process, their party constitution, it's a general provision you find in all the constitutions of the parties, that you have put up a conduct that brings the party in disrepute. But they have what they call anti-party conduct. And that's what they are saying he has done by saying that the party did nothing when in government on Afari Hospital, when they say, in fact, they had done some work and actually were in the view that they had completed paying the contractor, and all the contractor needed to do was to complete the work. Then what's the name? Arthur Kennedy says all the issues about allegations of corruption he makes, that Agenda 111 was rather, the contracts were sold out to people for the proverbial 10%, they don't warrant being looked into?
I think that generally, I am amazed at a time where the MPP needs to be able to build a big tent coalition, whether it includes persons who are neutral, mavericks within the party, and others, it is essentially getting in front of itself in handling this issue. I absolutely believe that I am surprised that it has taken this, the proportion in which it has taken, on the question of the Afari Hospital in particular. Because the person's comment was the MPP has done nothing, and that all the time we're here, we didn't do it. In Ghanaian parlance, in our local languages, somebody can say, you can't go into the nitty-gritty of whether or not did you clear the rock or did you clear the land. I'm surprised that this is even an issue. It's a matter of speaking, which is expressing the fact that because this is something which is important to us, we should have completed it. That's my understanding contextually of what he's saying. So I'm surprised that this is something that, particularly at a time when you have a candidate that needs to consolidate support around him, create, a group of, even a cabinet of rivals, to be able to move forward and go into the next election, that they would bring this issue up, particularly considering the central role he plays more generally. Now, the allegations of corruption that he has made, not only in connection with the, Agenda 111 MPP, but also in terms of the NDC.
Yeah, he said his wife was approached.
His wife was approached. Now, in a country that, procurement processes are so routinely infested with corruption, we cannot play the ostrich around these kinds of claims. It happens with so much regularity that I don't see the shock that we're pretending to have around it. So it only tells me that perhaps there are bigger issues around Ken that some people want to make a hill out of an anthill. Perhaps that's kind of what I feel like is happening here. But if there are genuine concerns, I don't think that the MPP as a party is better placed to investigate claims of corruption regarding Agenda 111. It's public funds in any event. This is the state. So maybe the MPP issues a statement and says, this and this and this is what we did in connection with Afari Hospital, and these questions he has raised, we are referring them to the Attorney General for them to look at and investigate. We end the matter. So
the MPP rather should be doing that.
The MPP should do that.
Referring to Attorney General.
Yes, he has an interest in transparency. Unless we are saying that, we are so interested in that not looking into the claims, because you have no mechanism. My brother here was talking about evidence. What mechanism do you have internally to investigate questions of corruption, and what evidence should be presented to you that Ken would have done, so you do what with it? Then come out and conclude that, in fact, he has proven the allegations of corruption against us, so we are not taking steps against him. It's not going to happen. So why don't you refer it to the appropriate authorities? We close this chapter and Ken moves on. Ken is always going to be Ken in terms of his approach. I believe that it has a way, I think it works for the MPP. I generally believe that there's a core of people in this country that have lost trust in the politics. And that he mobilizes some people with sentiments of distrust against the political class. And so that I think is a tool that the MPP needs to figure out how they harness.
But what they are saying is that he cannot throw the stone, cannot be the first to throw that stone of corruption. Because when you hear amongst them what they say, and they said it even ahead of the internal party contest, that he cannot exactly say he's a self-made man. That if he's made, and he continues to say he's rich, his wealth was made through these kinds of contracts in government. So they feel that he even has more obligation to the party people financially without taking praise.
Sorry.
You see, that's what happens if you keep referring to things that are not necessary.
Without seeking to take praise for it. Because you have money that is not exactly yours. The Kufuor allowed you the opportunity by giving you these contracts. We have heard you blackmail government to give you contracts and so on and so forth. So you should be the last to be pointing fingers.
Listen, it's a funny thing for me, generally. I think that one, I have a general, distaste for these procurement-created billionaires that abound in our politics, and politicians that, we reserve
procurement-created billionaires.
Now, I think that it's disingenuous as well that the response to this claim would be that, but we aided you in your corruption, so keep quiet about the other corruption. That can't be the response and how we want the public to engage in the conversation. I heard those allegations during the primaries and some of these things that came out, that they themselves as a cabal know. And our political parties know the kinds of, procurement machinations that they do. It can't ever in proper conversation become a tool that is said, but don't say it because we also know other things about you. Then what is your responsibility towards? To we, the people of Ghana, or that we have created, an internal mafia that we sort each other out with deals at the expense of the Republic, that because you have been sorted enough, you shouldn't sort out the other one. I'd rather they fight each other to the extent that it becomes matters that the state is interested in prosecuting and interested in them. So I encourage Ken to speak so that we, those who are interested in how the public purse is protected, can figure out how those procurement deals were made that, corruption infests them. So that's for me the bigger thing. But as a party generally, I think the MPP has taken the wrong approach in terms of how to. And it's also a party that hasn't figured out quite well how to deal with Ken. And so I see a lot of, false starts as figure out how do we bring him on board better to be able to keep him in.
Okay. I'll ask whether you expect that Arthur Kennedy says he's being patriotic in bringing out these allegations. Do you agree?
No, I don't necessarily.
Okay, I'll come for you to establish why you don't agree. A couple of comments. Nana Bain says, are both NDC and MPP not complicit in the non-completion of the Afari Hospital? Didn't NDC under Mills and Mahama 1 equally have 8 years to start and complete the hospital after funding is secured and contracts signed in 2008 plus the additional 15 months? As for ex-President Akufo-Addo, it is a shame that he failed to complete such a noble project initiated by the very government he was part of. Isn't it outrageous that it would take a country 18 solid years to build a hospital that funding had been secured? When will Ghana work? That's a very poignant, pointing to us. 18 solid years. Whoa. And a project for which the funding secured is still uncompleted. I read a couple more and then, come to your question. What are the institutions that fight corruption doing? By now, Kennedy Japan should be answering questions of importance to the nation. If Ghana police could call someone about WhatsApp comments today, is that lawyer Chum talking about people being insulting? Truly, power can make people change. On the internet, on Asempa, both him and lawyer Sami Jemfi and others, the insults on the former president Akufo-Addo, we live to see the glory of God. This is Gamel from Ewutu Obrachre saying, Kwame says that the contractors wrote to the MPP government first in 2023 and again in July 2024. The government responded in November 2024, a month before the general elections. In between there were some negotiations. This raises a few questions. What had been going on from 2017 to 2023? Is it possible to ascertain the content of correspondence from the contractor over the 8 years between 2017 and 2025? Was it practically feasible that Afari Hospital could have been completed by January 7, 2025? Here is the thing. It takes between 9 and 49 years to complete a hospital in Ghana. we know. The mother and whatever unit at Akufo-Addo over 40-something years said Kwame Boateng had to throw light on it. I don't know what we are doing. We have to demolish it and build a new one because all the money we have sunk into that place has become useless, really. All right? So it says sometimes this even results in parts of the structure being pulled down. Remember the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital maternity blog? Yes, that's what I wanted to speak about. Started by Kutu Echampong in 1977. The semantics as to what the MPP did, in my view, misses the point. I read a final message on that. Before that message, Asari says that can Dr. Nsia and his people who have been cataloging one by one fiscal things they added to the hospital, can they tell us the specific items that they deployed to the hospital? It is interesting to know because they frequently mention these things, but some of them have been going to check and they can't find the things they mention. And the final comment I read is from Kweku Ntwibwe-Seako. He says, Dr. Arthur Kennedy has disappointed me this morning. Your last question to him about patriotism and why Kennedy Japan didn't report what he claimed to be corruption gave him an opportunity to show honesty and truth. He failed. Kennedy Japan has not showed that he is fighting for Ghana. How can he know of corruption and fail to report same to the appropriate agencies? How can his wife be presented with a corrupt deal and he did not report same to the appropriate authorities? He only complains when he does not get his way. And I would have thought Dr. Arthur Kennedy would know better. MPP and its outcasts have all failed Ghana. So why do you say he's not a patriot by blowing the whistle that there is corruption in Agenda 111 and the current government too, they're also selling contracts?
I mean, I think it's we have to be able to contextualize the information to determine whether or not this is a genuine attempt to aid our corruption investigative authorities to establish truth in service of the Republic, or these were off-the-cuff comments made, one whether in the moment of passion or one with airing already existing grievances that he may have with regards to the party. That is the context that will allow us to be able to determine this. But also, I mean, I think more importantly, if you want to be able to garner people's trust around certain issues, the timing of where you make the information public, what you say, and the context in which you say it, is what will be the determining factors for us to be able to judge and determine whether you meant well for the Republic by making those comments. I think that it was made in the context of grievances around the party and issued those in those contexts. He has no interest in following that up beyond the context he has made there. He has no track record, let's say as well, that Kennedy Japan has no track record of being an anti-corruption crusader in this country. That he has not in any event, shape or form be one of the persons who has championed this. If you see the kind of consistent attacks Kennedy Japan did against Anas Arimeyao, what led ultimately to the death of the journalist, those are situations which he has placed himself actually against those individuals who are acting to be able to bring more transparency to how our governance operates. So there's no track record to be able to embed his comments now into a general patriotism light. I mean, I think we shouldn't look at it through rose-tinted glasses. But I like when two elephants fight nonetheless, because perhaps that is when, the government can be able to get something out of it.
So, all right. Dr. Arthur Kennedy, having heard the comments across the table and also messages that suggest that you have lost an opportunity to be honest, what do you say briefly before we move on to our next subject?
Yeah, I think that those comments are a little short-sighted. I think Mr. Vomao makes good comments, but I'm a pragmatist. If you follow law, and most of you there are lawyers, there are people who aid states in solving significant problems for selfish reasons. I think that no matter how people come to the table, we need to look at the substance of what is it that they are bringing to the table. You know, there are times when, for example, people who are tax cheats are exposed during divorce proceedings by the other spouse to punish them, even though they have been doing that together. There are times when murderers expose each other. There are times when subversionists who have worked together decide to expose each other, and states benefit from these kind of things. So I'm just saying
but we don't say, in those circumstances, we don't say those people are patriots. We never say so.
But there can be scoundrels and patriots at the same time. You know, history is complicated.
Okay.
You know, I mean, Benedict Arnold was actually a celebrated American revolutionary general before he sold out. You know, we were worshipping a free fire Nkotoka before we all decided they sold Nkrumah out. Nkrumah was our liberator till he became our dictator. So politics is complicated, and I think that my big point where I agree with Mr. Vomao on the MPP is that this is the time to try and put the party together rather than to divide it. And actually, the issues are not that monumental if you really look at context. And actually, Samson, I take small issue with you. Kenneth Japon said the MPP did nothing once, but in the same interview or during the same comments, he said they failed to complete about 4 times. So if you take the context, I think that the substantive thing for anybody who meant well was not they did nothing, but that they failed to complete it. And I think that there are people who already have knives they've been sharpening for Honorable Kennedy Japon, and they think this is an excuse. They want to drum him out of the party so they can get control. But that is a short-sighted policy.
Do you
undermine the party's unity.
Do you sincerely think that a person who is known to blackmail the party and now has also indicated that in 2027 they should watch out for him because he's going to do a lot more stuff against them, and that he's not stupid to follow them, that's a kind of a person you build bridges with, so that what? You buy his silence? How will that not contrast with you saying that he should be allowed to say the things he wants to say?
I mean, they don't necessarily have clean hands in seeking for that equity, you know, because in truth of the matter, a lot of the things that he's talking about, it's not necessarily that they don't know about it. They did most of those things with him. So in my view, I think that the best thing for the party, which is why leadership changes and accountability are important, is for the party to go for the real culprits. After all, we may even find out that Kennedy Japon himself is compromised in the contracts for sale in the Aferi 111 hospital thing. But the bigger point is that there are other people who benefited from this, which is why Ghanaian people are walking around without health care, and which is why we lost an election because we couldn't deliver. I think that the party, if it is looking ahead, needs to be looking for these corporates to drum out of the party rather than drum Kennedy Japon out of the party. He is evil sometimes, but on balance, maybe he's not as evil as others who haven't been exposed in this process.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kennedy. This is where we draw the curtains on this subject matter. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we will give you a good view of what the ECOWAS court has to say about the removal of Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Torkornoo, and you make the decision, the determination for yourself whether that was justice handed her or not. And we also ask the question whether the decision of the ECOWAS court will have any implications for the Supreme Court's decision that we await very soon. Remember, the Supreme Court, there are a number of cases there, and those cases have been put together and are to be determined very shortly. And she has also gone back to the court complaining that perhaps they shouldn't deliver the judgment at the time they want to do because a few things have not been done right. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. Yes, when we say that, we mean it. Your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we always put Ghana first. Ghana first. My guests are Alexander Chumberima, he's Deputy Director General, Narcotics Control Commission, Dr. Arthur Kobina Kennedy, his physician and political activist, Oliver Baka-Vomowo is Constitutional Rights and Policy Strategy Advisor, Democracy Hub. He's a guy who innovates the law in a way you just love it, for public interest litigation particularly. John Darko is Member of Parliament for Swami. So, as you know, Justice Torkornoo, when her issues came up in 2025, went to the African ECOWAS Community Court to make complaints about human rights abuses. And in that regard, the case had been going on for a while, and just this, was it Wednesday or Thursday, we got information that the court had given its decision, and in its decision, it dismissed all 7 claims or issues that the court itself set down to comprise the issues that she was complaining about. So, is that the end of the road for her? On Thursday, the Supreme Court is supposed to also give judgment on cases, some of which she is the one who filed in the Supreme Court. Asifua also filed a case challenging her removal in the Supreme Court. I think there are about 3 or so cases that are there. There was one she filed in the Human Rights Division of the court that was also dismissed. And there was setting, is it an injunction she was seeking? That was earlier dismissed by the Supreme Court. So we're asking, is it the end of the road for her as far as seeking to litigate this matter is concerned? Because the decision that has also been rendered by the ECOWAS court is not subject to appeal. So how do we go about this? So let's begin with John Darko. Your party has been very unhappy about what has gone on, and you also said that this was political witch hunt. Some of these claims were made in the ECOWAS court, and not a single one of them survived. What do you say?
No, you're wrong. The question on political witch hunt was not a subject of litigation at the ECOWAS court. At the ECOWAS court, it was basically about the process leading to her removal. Okay? So let's get things straight, Samson. At the ECOWAS court, she was about the abuse of her rights. First of all, right to information. She needed the processes. She wanted to see the processes. She believed also that her right to work had been abused by reason of the decision of the committee. She also believed that her right to privacy had been violated by reason of the unwarranted searches that happened during her visit to the Addo Lodge. She had made these claims about human rights abuses during the proceedings. That is what was taken to court. It had nothing to do with the political wish hand. As for political wish hand, it is still there. We believe that.
Do you know what she said about Musa Dankwa? And Musa Dankwa's
those were not subjects of the litigation. I have read the entire judgment. Musa Dankwa didn't come up.
Oh, Musa Dankwa came up.
No, I mean,
let's talk about Musa Dankwa, who is connected to the NDC,
the pool,
doing
yes.
poll.
Yes,
that suggested that she was most unpopular.
Yes,
Chief Justice.
Yes,
that's a political question, isn't it?
No. See, the real issue, the real politics for us was, first of all, the decision by the NDC, then in opposition, at all costs, in their view, to reset the judiciary, by which they mean the removal of the CJ. The president at the time, the president now, at the time was the leader of the NDC, made the NDC lawyers, made it clear that they were going to reset the judiciary. They had said that the Supreme Court, they called it the unanimous FC. They had branded the CJ, okay? They used to call her what? The NPP Women's Organizer. Sidin Ketia had mentioned their forerunner, okay? The NDC's forerunner, had mentioned that he is going to ensure that the woman should move because the woman was not fit for purpose, and that the CJ.
Said this about the CJ. Are you confusing what she said about the Electoral Commission officers to the Chief Justice?
Had made it clear that one of the people who must go was the CJ. In fact, you had this interview, I think, Radio Good. I listened to that interview. Has said that the woman must go. He is the chairman of the NDC, okay? And seemed to be the presidential candidate of the NDC.
You're saying he said this prior to the petitions for her removal?
Yes, prior to the petitions, yes. Ketia has said that.
How come I didn't hear this?
So you hear everything that goes on in this
I monitor a lot of stations for the purposes of this show.
So what the point I'm making is that the NDC, from President Mahama at the time, the candidate Mahama, to the chairman of the party, they had made it clear that this woman must go. They had done demonstrations that showed that the woman must go. It was one singular purpose of the NDC to remove the CJ. That is the point we're making. So that
let's go back to ECOWAS court.
Hasn't gone away.
Let's go back to ECOWAS court.
So you brought the politics, and I'm saying that the question about politics was not subject of the ECOWAS decision. At ECOWAS, it was just about human rights.
I pointed you to something which suggests the politics. You disagree with it. Can we move on? Because it is in there, part of her arguments.
Samson, the point I'm making is that this woman has been abused, by the NDC. She suffered the most unacceptable humiliation by the way she's been treated. Of course, she goes to the ECOWAS court. The court says that it doesn't agree with her. I'm not happy with it, but the decision of the ECOWAS court, in fact, the decision of the ECOWAS court is not going to overturn the decision of the courts in Ghana. In fact, the ECOWAS court doesn't sit as an appellate body of our courts in Ghana. And so for me, it's okay that sometimes this is for educational purposes. It's okay that she went and the courts they've made their decision, and you have to stick to it. But the politics is still there.
Okay.
We believe
let's help our audience. Let's help our audience.
Yes.
Let's help our audience.
Yes.
Tone down the politics for now. We have discussed that for a whole year.
Yes.
Now, in the ECOWAS court,
yes,
one of the charges she made against the president and by extension the Council of State was that when the petitions were submitted to the president, it was only through Felix Kwakye Ofosu's statement to the public that the president had received these petitions and was beginning the consultative processes with the Council of State. That's when she got to know about it.
Yes.
And she said that was wrong. She should have been given copies of the petition before Council of State will peruse and do their prima facie determination.
Yes. That intervention would have helped them in their determination, the prima facie decision.
So she said that she needed to also give a response for that prima facie determination. And because of that, it was a major ground. It's part of the grounds before our Supreme Court.
Yes.
The ECOWAS Court disagree with her.
Yes.
What do you say about that?
I mean, look, and that's the beauty of the law. You hold a position, somebody disagrees. If a decision is made, you move on. But I think that her point shouldn't be brushed under the carpet. This whole process, in fact, the court said that in their view, they don't even think that Article 146 requires that prima facie determination should be made. But they refer to the Ghanaian court's jurisprudence and said that this is what the Ghanaian court says, so they think that that should be done. It is important that for us to, as a country, for us to move forward, if a group of people, a committee or a person is supposed to make a prima facie determination, we need to come to a position where we agree that at least that person should, at the minimum, be given the opportunity to make his or her views known before that prima facie determination is made. This is the case she's been making, and we all tend to disagree. We believe that this is administrative, and that's why the court said that it's administrative. They can look at it and make a decision whether this should go forward or not.
They call it the filtering process.
Yes, the filtering process.
As argued by the Attorney General.
Yes, that they believe that this process. You see, it's interesting. The way law works, this will turn 360 very soon, in my view, in the near future. And those who are making this filtering argument, you see, we need to be truthful to ourselves as a country. What kind of democracy are we building?
Was she denied that?
Obviously, she was denied that because she wasn't given the opportunity to at least make her input into the document that was sent to the to Council of State for that prima facie.
That's what the court said.
That is no, but in fact, it did not happen. So that's the fact. But what the court is saying is that her inability to present her view doesn't stop the committee from doing this work or the Council of State from doing this work, and that the prima facie determination was fair.
They said that the point where she needed to participate
was at the committee level.
Was at the committee level,
and that she was allowed to bring it.
Okay,
which is fine. But I'm
nonetheless. Hold on, let me read a portion of the judgment to you.
No, but if we, let me just make this point.
No, wait.
We can do it.
In context, it's important. Yes. It might even help you so that you don't know if you are veering off the facts. So
no, of course I have the facts. I've read. Okay, I've read.
So paragraph 80.
Yes.
Paragraph 80.
Yes.
In the present case, the court observes that the body that was legally competent to determine the petitions against the applicant and render a determination or decision with legal consequences for her rights and obligations was a 5-member committee established under Article 146 of the Constitution of Ghana. The President was required to act in accordance with the committee's recommendations. Accordingly, the court considers that, strictly speaking, the stage at which the applicant's right to be heard crystallized was when the committee was constituted and the petitions were referred to it for determination. The court recognizes that the respondent is at liberty to guarantee broader rights to be heard under its national law. This may include a right to be heard during the determination of whether a prima facie case has been established in respect of a petition against a judge under the Constitution. However, insofar as Article 7 of the African Charter is concerned, the court considers that the respondent's obligations, respondent is Ghana, the respondent's obligations to afford the applicant is Justice Torkornoo, an opportunity to be heard, arose at the critical stage when the committee was constituted and the petitions were formally referred to it for determination. As it was that stage that the applicant was placed in legal jeopardy. I need to read 2 more paragraphs. They are important for the discussion for a perspective. 82. Nevertheless, the court observes that based on the applicant's own admission, this is Torkornoo's own admission, she was provided with copies of the petitions and submitted written responses to them before the President's consultation with the Council of State for the prima facie determination were concluded. Do you see why I wanted to read for you?
Yes.
You say that the prima facie, her views were not taken. The court says she herself admitted that by the time the prima facie determination was made by the Council of State, her views were taken. So, I'm just reading, let me finish it up.
Yes.
Before the President's consultation with the Council of State and the prima facie determination were concluded. Thus, even if Torkornoo were entitled under Article 7.1 of the African Charter to be heard during the prima facie stage, which serves merely as a filtering mechanism and not as the actual hearing of the petitions, the court considers that the respondent, that is Ghana, fulfilled this obligation by affording Torkornoo an opportunity to submit written responses to the petitions. Accordingly, the court finds that Ghana did not violate Torkornoo's right to be heard during the President consultation with the Council of State and his determination of whether a prima facie case existed in respect of the petitions against the applicant. I said I wanted to read 2 more paragraphs. I'll stay with this paragraph and maybe read the last one later. What do you say?
Yes, so you see, here's the point. She had gone to court saying that on the question of determining whether or not there's a case against her, she needed to make an input. Okay, this is what she went to court with. And she said that she wasn't afforded the opportunity. Now, in this case, the court is saying that she had sent written responses to the President. Her case is that it is the Council of State that is making that determination. And so, give me the opportunity to present my case before the Council of State. That is 2 distinct arguments.
No, it's not.
No, it's the Council of State.
It's not.
Listen,
it's not.
It is the Council of State that is making the determination.
Hold on. It's not.
So let me make my point.
It's the President, according to the law.
Yes.
And not according to the law, because the law doesn't provide for prima facie. It is the Supreme Court decision that has advised that you should do prima facie for a Chief Justice.
Just like we would do for other Superior Court judges.
And in that, that prima facie is done by the President with the Council of State. And the court says her complaint was that the President was in the consultation process with the Council of State without giving her copies. But she admits that once she complained, she was giving copies, and she responded, which formed part of the consultation process before it was concluded. So you cannot say, as a matter of fact, that the Council of State was not afforded.
But you see, her case before the court, then she would have contradicted herself. But that wasn't the case she was making. Okay. It was the court that came to that decision, that the document we sent to the President amounts to taking part in the determination of the prima facie case.
That's a fair point.
It was a court that made
that decision. That's a fair point, correct.
But for her, she said that I was supposed to send my responses to the Council of State for the Council of State to make that determination, because maybe, and just maybe, if the Council of State has seen my responses and they are taking that into consideration, they wouldn't have come to the determination that there's a prima facie case for me to answer in the first place. So she made a case. It's the court that said that, well, looking at the document, and maybe because we are not privy to, even if there were viva voce interaction, it's the court that came to the conclusion that by what we said before us, we believe that you submitted all your documents, and so you were afforded the opportunity to be heard. Her case is that, yes, initially I wasn't given the opportunity. When I complained, the President gave me the complaint, and then I also responded. So based on that, a decision is made. She said that you should have asked me to make my case before the Council of State.
Did you hear the President at the time, through the spokesperson, say that she was in a rush because Felix had announced that he has received the petitions and is in the consultation process.
Okay.
He didn't say that she will not be asked, she will not be giving the petition for her to also make her input.
Okay.
So she was in a hurry, trying to jump the process by crying foul that they have started the process, but my view have not been sorted. My view have not been sought. It is possible that they have started the process of initially beginning to consult and say, how do we go about it? That's what they told us. How do we go about the procedure? Then the Council of State would have said, oh, from what it is, you have brought a petition to us. We need to call her to also give her a thing. We haven't gotten there yet, but she's in a hurry. So even though she requested it, the suggestion we had was that that request was actually not necessary because we were going to give it to her anyway.
Well, you don't know about that because
they have said so.
No, but so why? Because they have said it, you believe it. Because it's possible that they were not going to even call her. It is also possible. But if she hadn't complained, she wasn't going to be given the opportunity to respond. Is that not also possible?
The court says that first stage.
Yes.
It's not where she actually needs to bring her views.
But it's fine. See,
it is the committee stage that she needs to bring her views. And at the committee stage, she brought her views. What do you say to that?
See, on that court's decision, I have no difficulty with it. I mean, this is a ECOWAS court, and I think that as a lawyer, I'm tempted to believe more in the decision of the court, that it is during the committee stage that your right is really crystallized, that you have to come and defend yourself. But we shouldn't also keep under the carpet the point that, and we should be looking at it as a country, that if you want to make a determination of prima facie, do you listen to the other party? Do you think that it would be okay to hear the view of this person before you make a determination whether or not she should even go and get a lawyer to defend herself in the first place? Because it is possible that in making the determination, if you take a person's view into consideration, you may decide otherwise.
Okay, so now let's move on.
That's something we should be looking at. Yes.
It's obvious you have read the judgment in full. Now, having read the judgment in full, each of her claims were roundly dismissed.
Yes.
So, what does that say about her case to you?
Well, so like I said, her case, all of them were about human rights. Remember, this is a human rights court, and so all the issues were about human rights. Like I said, right to information, right to work, and you know, all these human rights provisions. So that is something the court has decided on. But for me, this case, like I said earlier on, began as a legal case, but for me it was always political, because it was a decision of the NDC then in opposition to make sure that this person, they should move, and they stuck to the plan and they did it according to their plan. It had always been the decision of the president to move.
If any analyst said that the ECOWAS court has vindicated Ghana's position, because the executive's position is Ghana's position,
yes,
what will you say?
See, legally, as a lawyer, you are bound by such decisions. I mean, if you may call it that way. But the politics still remains, and that is what we shouldn't forget. When it comes to the human rights provision, it's been roundly rejected, like we said. You can't say that the ECOWAS court has vindicated Ghana's position. But
she complained about procedure.
Yes.
They clearly indicated that they don't see what's wrong was done with procedural matters. She complained about her lawyers, her lawyer being denied.
Yes. They said it was only the first day.
They found, as a matter of fact, not the first day.
It was just the first day.
They found, that was on the 15th of May, right?
Yes.
As the records say. They found, as a matter of fact, that what happened was rather, quote, an unwillingness to participate on the part of the lawyer, and not that the committee actually excluded her lawyer. On the matter of which procedure to adopt and the rest of that, they said, well, the rules adopted are matters of domestic law and not the African Charter.
Yes.
On the matters of bias and conflicts with Justice Asiedu, Adibo, and Puaman, that one too, they say that she failed to prove that they had done anything in conflict or put them in a biased situation against among other things.
Yes. I'm saying, you go to court, you've got to prove your case. She didn't prove her case, like the court is saying. I mean, this is not a court decision that you can even appeal. So we are stuck with it. And the point is that the former Chief Justice has forced this through. I like her courage. I love what she's done. She's tested our laws. And that is what every citizen should do. If you feel that your rights have been abused, you go through the processes, whether internal or international, whichever you choose. She's done her bit, and I believe that she's done a good man's job. Her name will remain in our history, one of the strongest women ever presided over our court. And what happened to her?
My question is that does this decision by this NDC government, does this decision not take away does this decision not take away any criticisms of the MPP that the decision, the processes were flawed, all of that, including the Bar Association? Remember, they raised issues about all of these things. Does it not take away all those points that were raised, that they were unfounded?
No, but you see, when somebody is set out to destroy you, as the NDC set out to destroy this woman, you will find every means to, as it were, justify it. Look, and I'm happy sometimes we have this kind of discussion, because when the tables turn and something of the sort happens, and I hope it doesn't. I've always maintained that I hope this never happens to any Chief Justice or any appointee. And the tables turn, we want to see how people will react. In my view, the woman has fought a good battle. I think that she's come to the end of the road. I hope that she goes out there to live a beautiful life. She's paid her dues as a Ghanaian citizen. She's done a yeoman's job. And at least for those of us who have followed this process, will come to understand that this government was unfair to her from day one. They set out to destroy her, and they did that. The woman had not done
Dr. Arthur Kennedy,
and they just destroy her, and that's what they did.
Dr. Arthur Kennedy, what's your review of this situation? I know that you need to catch a flight to watch the Black Stars. Let's hear you. Hello, Doc. Oh, he's already left us. Hello, Doc. Okay, we don't have Doc there, but we know Doc's condition. I think I should have gone to him first to speak, and then he could leave, because he's going to do a good job to support the Black Stars. We are all hoping and praying that they will come out unscathed today.
But we've qualified
right.
already.
Yes, but it's important.
By the mathematics.
Yes. Okay, Chum.
All right, so Samson, when my brother starts incorporating politics into this,
because it has always been politics. This has always been politics. It has nothing.
Go ahead.
It has always been political.
All right, thank you. All right, so then let me continue. I was here when you were talking. I beg you. When we continue to do this, then it brings us back to ask also other questions. The only extension to whatever I'm going to raise is that that person wasn't a CJ. But let's not forget, that person was an Article 71 office holder, just as Madam Torkornoo. These opportunities that Madam Torkornoo had, first question, did that person also get the same opportunities?
We don't know which person. Who are you?
Charlotte was saying.
Which opportunity did she not get?
Oh, she was also given the petition to respond to.
Of course.
Before time and everything.
Of course.
And then
that one is the CJ that does the process. And the CJ is bound by the law.
I know.
The law requires the CJ to get to these people. Of course, the prima facie determination. CJs are not bound. And some CJs' view is that I don't need your views before I make a
exactly my point.
Okay, sorry about that.
Exactly my point.
Sorry about that.
So that wasn't the case. But you see, in her case, as she has already noted in her own admission, she was given the opportunity. But now, you know what she's arguing on? Timing. Yes, I had it, but what time did you give it to me? You should have given it to me yesterday. Why did you give it to me this morning? But then, in the nutshell, the point is that you were given enough days, 10 good days, study it, come out with your view. Even before the president who gave you the thing will even see or hear your response, it was already in the media. So you are arguing that philosopher is the one who made pronouncement of something, and that got you notice that, oh, something is about to happen, or somebody has made a petition against you. So in the likewise manner, you did the same thing. That even before His Excellency the President will see any response that you intend to give to him, yours was also in the social media or in the media or in the public domain before the President will have access to it. So the question is that if you wanted equity, did you do equity? You are the same person complaining that somebody wasn't fair to you, somebody didn't give you the order, you didn't even have it on time, or to the right medium. But when it was time for you to do same, you failed. Now to your issues before the ECOWAS court. You argue that you were even subjected to search. Samson. Even when we are entering the court, we go through security checks, don't we? Since when did this become wrong? That you are entering the premises and you are being checked to notice that you have something on you or nothing. I've seen President Mills of blessed memory. I was standing there when President Mills was traveling his last trip abroad. When he stretched his arms like this for an aviation security officer to search him before he would exit the old VVIP launch at Terminal 2. What is wrong with that? If you have nothing to hide, why are you afraid of checks? Then the issue of you not getting fair hearing. Anytime anybody raises this point, which is a legal point, the answer is it yes or no? If the answer means no, it means that we have attacked or we have defeated the rules of or the Outram pattern. Because there's no way a decision should be made against you without hearing you. It's wrong. So the question is, were you heard? The answer is yes, you were heard. At the committee level, your own colleagues, two of your colleagues, whom you were leading some few days before your exit, were those chairing or leading the team. Every other member or person who was on the committee were persons that the president nominated or appointed to be based on what this same Article 1466 and co mentions. So, which of them was there that was not fit and proper to be there? I wish that you make this point and then name. You are citing your colleagues to be that they were biased. These are statements that you can't just make them merely. You have to prove it. You are a lawyer, you are a judge. You know that I can't just come and stand before you or in your court and cite that, madam, you are being biased without proving or making giving out solid evidence to prove that point that indeed you have been biased on A, B, C, D. So where you make such points, it must come with evidence, because that is the rule of the game. At the ECOWAS court, you are citing politics. For them, we don't know them to be NDC, we don't know them to be NPP. We don't even know which political parties they belong to in their various countries. They sat on your matter as an independent arbiter. They looked through all your cases that you have raised, about 7 or so of them, and disagreed with you on every single case that you are raising. Why? Because you have no case. If your lawyer decides not to attend the proceeding, is there a means of a denial? Where you not even go?
On the issue of bias against the two justices, yes, that you said you have referenced many times. Just for perspective, I'll read one paragraph of the decision of the court. Paragraph 115. They say, to establish that Justice Puaman or Justice Addo was disqualified from sitting on the committee on account of bias, Justice Torkornoo was required to demonstrate that either of them had previously participated in cases involving she and the petitioners concerning the same or substantially the same issues. However, beyond asserting that Justices Puaman and Addo sat on panels with her in proceedings subsequently referenced in the petitions, Justice Torkornoo has not provided sufficient particulars regarding the facts of those cases, the specific role played by the said justices, the issues determined, or how their participation in those proceedings created a personal interest or predisposition capable of compromising their impartiality in the committee's proceedings.
Thank you. Straightforward. That's why I said that you can't just say it just like that. You must come with something strong to buttress that case that you're making. And if it's reasonable, the court will always side with you. But if it's not, you can't invite the court to do an argument that is wrong.
she gave certain evidence. The evidence was that she and Justice Poaman sat on, what's the name of the first petition again?
Ofori, rather.
Ofori. What's Ofori again? Daniel Ofori. Yeah. She and Poaman sat on his case, the EcoBank case. Okay, that's one example.
And then so in that case,
and then the police, the lawyer and police officer,
yes, Akufo-Addo, yes,
that's that issue, and that Justice Adibo Esiedu, is it the injunction or the case that had been brought to court by Asefua, against her, right? So they said that what is important was to show that those judges has sat on matters in which she was involved, and the issues were about this issue, correct, or similar, but they don't find anything.
Exactly. So it means your case is flawless. You can't just say, I mean, it's flawed. Sorry, it's flawed. You can't just make such a point without buttressing it with a solid or serious, evidence. They have not sat on any case that involves you and they did something that can make you see your side, that because you didn't do this for me or you did this against me on this matter, which was my own matter, you are not fair to me. So if that same person comes to sit on the case that involves me again today, it's obvious that he will not be fair to me again because he has done one before. You understand? But that's not what we are seeing here. And like I said, those people who sat on the matter, they are judges like you. So whatever argument you would have raised in your court, if it had been me coming against Samson or coming against my brother sitting on my left, you would have raised same concerns to address the issue at the end of the day. Now the issue of it being political, that Honorable Justice Katia made a point that we are going to remove the Chief Justice among others, but the good thing here is that who petitioned the president? Is that person the NDC national chairman or national organizer or what? Which role does the person play in the NDC? That makes you think that because of John Jesse prior to elections made a statement. It is because of that statement that...
You're confirming that statement.
No, he is saying it. I'm not confirming it. He's saying, I'm just quoting.
Why? But so
I'm quoting.
No, I never heard that statement.
All the claims about...
To be frank with you,
he's saying you never heard that.
I never heard to go. To be frank with you,
never heard that.
I never heard
the president had made, he had purpose.
To be frank with you, I never heard. I've never heard
that. They meant that they were going to remove the CJ.
John, I've never heard.
This is one of the things.
John, relax. Was it published anywhere that Sedun Ketia said that the CJ is not fit for purpose?
Maybe one of these I will send with you.
No, we are here.
But you're having a laptop before you
just show that to us. Go on. Go on. Sorry, you are done. You are done with your presentation.
It's okay. It's not
a point you have said. It's a point of... Thank you. Go on.
But
no, please. No, you are disrupting.
He said you never heard it.
Okay.
He has said it here.
So were you here? It's fine.
Go ahead.
How was he here?
Oh, bro.
Go ahead.
So the point is very clear. The man who submitted a petition to the president, if I'm right, I'm told he's a businessman who has been in the country for... I don't even know him. But for this case, I've never heard his name before. It was even recently I got to that. It was even the one who used to own Old Time A-Life or something, if I'm right. Yes. So this is a man that is, if I'm right, he's a private businessman that had something wrong or felt something wrong based on what you did.
Is it A-Life or Whitechapel?
One of them. I'm told what either A-Life or Whitechapel, one of them. So he's not an NDC person or part of...
Not A-Life.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, sorry. Whitechapel. He's not a known NDC person or an NDC executive for you to even make the point that because an NDC executive had petitioned...
NDC person, we here.
Okay? Had petitioned the president, that is how come the president acted. No. In any case, is the person not a Ghanaian? Is the law not allowing Ghanaians to bring their cries to the president if there is such a claim to make?
Okay.
Okay, so let's not be doing this. Because you see, if you sit here today and tell us that, you are praying that this thing doesn't repeat itself. When you were removing something to say, should I also go and make the same argument that Canada or Japan, which we have just discussed a few minutes ago, also said that you're also going to remove it, and that was why you're moving?
But
meanwhile, the petition didn't come from Canada at Japan.
You must also admit that in the ECOWAS court's decision, there are a number of the substantive claims that they dismiss, not because they have heard them on the merits. Okay, it's a procedural matter. That, for example, you want us to interpret your laws, your constitution. We don't have that power. We don't do that. But wait. Okay. For example, you want us to perform an appellate court's work, like review the work of the committee to come to a conclusion that the committee did something wrong about the complaints about the payments that she had for her travel and all of that. You must also know that the court said that they cannot investigate those matters because they are not an appeal court of national courts. So on those matters, they didn't go into the merit. In any case, they suggested that she also didn't present the decision to them. Because as she said, the committee, as she has said, the committee had not made the decision available to her. And yet she was complaining that they did something wrong against her. And yet she didn't also present that document for them to review. In any case, their job is not to review the decisions of national court. So on those issues, can't you agree that there are aspects that the ECOWAS court didn't actually have to look into the merits to make a decision? So those are substantive.
No. Samson, no. A very big no. Madam is not just an ordinary person. She is a lawyer and a judge, and knows very well that the ECOWAS court is not an appellate court. She knows. So why was she inviting them into that arena? Again, she knows very well that
she wasn't the lawyer.
But is she not a legal practitioner? Is she not a lawyer? By profession, is not a lawyer. Because she became
the lawyers were two Nigerians.
Oh, no, I don't mean in that court, but in her capacity, whether in that place or whatever, she's a lawyer. By profession, she's a lawyer. She knew, or she knows very well that this court that she went to is not an appellate court. And that they can't do anything that is supposed to be in the jurisdiction of an appellate court. She knows that. Secondly, she also knows that to interpret a law is not in their jurisdiction. So why was she inviting or asking them to do it in the first place? You are lost. You are lost. If you want to make
yourself.
Oh, which one's happy? I mean, you are a lawyer myself. You know this. This is what we are all saying here. We are all lawyers. You know very well that what I'm saying here, I'm not going, out of context.
Okay,
it is true.
Let me bring Oliver on here. So before I bring Oliver on this matter, let me read one paragraph. Paragraph 122.
Okay.
They said, indeed, overall, it has neither been alleged nor established by Justice Torkornoo that the ex parte Ayamga Akolgo case, that's the police officer who alleged that the Chief Justice had dealt with her wrongly in a certain way. It has never been alleged, established. It has neither been alleged nor established by the applicant that the ex parte Ayamga Akolgo case or any other cases in which Justices Puamang and Adibu-Asiedu participated concern the removal of the applicant from office for any alleged misconduct or incompetence. Accordingly, it would be far-fetched to suggest that the chairman of the committee, Justice Puamang or Justice Adibu-Asiedu, lacked impartiality or was biased merely because either of them had previously participated as a judge in cases involving some of the petitioners with different issues and was subsequently appointed to consider petitions seeking the removal of the applicant as Chief Justice. The court therefore finds this ground to be without merit and accordingly dismisses it. Oliver.
Thank you, Samson. First, I must say that Femi Falana, who represented the Chief Justice, frequently visits the ECOWAS courts. Is well known. I have enormous respect for him in terms of what he has done in upholding the right to information, protecting journalists. So he's a person I hold great respect to. There are a number of things which I think I've come to understand in matters like this, that the law and the politics run perhaps in parallel channels, and that we can't, even as we're trying to set out the facts as accurately as we can, that people are going to do the politics.
Now, I believed in all of these things, and to say that people are going to do the politics, not to say that I have a pejorative view of the politics, because I said from the beginning that I think that one of the master classes the Chief Justice then did was that press conference she gave, because in a way she removed the question from the arena of just pure law and politicized it in a way in which people are going to continue to have lingering doubts as to the fairness of a removal. That's a tactic that is available to everybody to be able to think through. And as lawyers, we are narrow sometimes in juridifying issues and forget that the broader society does not already view every issue through those lenses. That said, that should also have informed the strategy into going to the ECOWAS court and seeking what you're looking for. The strongest claim, I think, and even when you look at because I was on when the court was going on, and in terms of the court's analysis and how it was proceeding, I thought that if the issue was framed narrowly around the right to information, perhaps they could have done a bit more with it. But the court even essentially agreed with her, except that they had failed to request for a copy of the full decision and everything from the proceedings before going to court on this matter. And so even though the court recognized that she's entitled to every information around this, found that she had failed to request for it, and for which reason you can say that the claim is premature in some regard.
No,
but it is important.
No, failed to request the full decision.
Yes, the full
decision. That one came later in, is it November,
yes.
September?
Yes.
So she had to amend the original claims,
yes.
or rates, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And then added these things on.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, go on.
Now, for even yourself and me, who have been interested in questions around Article 146 process, I think it's a huge win for us. Because the questions of disclosure around the proceedings after the event is something I think it's in the public interest for persons to be able to peruse and have conversation for us. So I think it's a big win in that regard. But there are also other issues which, frankly, and as you correctly pointed out, a lot of people, I've heard people say that because of the ECOWAS decision, there's no interest in following closely what the Supreme Court is going to say around some of the issues that have been established. And I think that's completely inaccurate. Because some of the things that she says, for instance, which have a lot of factual bearing as to whether or not the key officers of the committee swore the requisite constitutional oath. It's a matter which doesn't go to rights, and for which reason the ECOWAS court cannot look into. But they go into procedural substance which our Supreme Court can be inclined to uphold if those are proven. So it is not a far-gone conclusion that the court would necessarily conclude that the procedure for a removal was sacrosanct. And so there's a lot of procedural elements that she teases out that we are all waiting to see how the court proceeds with it. And also the ECOWAS court could not look into the question about, first of all, the ECOWAS court could not overturn the prima facie determination. Something that the domestic court can do and say there was not sufficient basis for you to make that prima facie determination in the first place. It cannot go to the ECOWAS court. And I remember also this question about the participation of her lawyers in the proceeding, because I was in the procedural hearing stage. And when the lawyer said that he was not technically representing, could not bind the Chief Justice in connection with that, my first worry then to the committee which I pointed out was, I am worried as to whether his continuous presence then pierces the confidentiality, the in-camera nature of the proceedings. Because then we have then before the committee somebody who was not representing the respondent and had no basis of being in the proceedings itself. This was not, issues that were canvassed in ECOWAS and could not have been canvassed there. But this is a matter which the domestic court can look and says, in-camera proceedings means in-camera. And I think if you breach the in-camera rules by allowing a person who is not connected to the proceedings to be present, doesn't invalidate the entire process, or they're going to say substantially it doesn't in those questions. Those are questions that can be looked into more broadly in respect of this. On the questions of how to frame her claims before ECOWAS, like for instance, the question of her removal, she was forced to go under the right to work in the questions of suspension, which the jurisprudence doesn't necessarily work. And I don't think if she was arguing it in the context of Ghana, she would have argued it in the context of a right to work claim. So the forum where you go to, how you're able to frame the case, all determine as questions of your chances of success more generally. The last point I would make also is connection with the fact that the petitions against her in connection with the Kolgo one and then the Shining Stars one were not determined. In the ECOWAS court, this was framed as making unlawful the prior finding for her removal. I would have thought that a different way to frame this issue was that because a prima facie case was determined against me, the only process by which I can clear my name in connection with that was if the committee hears them fully. It has no bearing on whether or not my prior removal is correct or not. But I have a chance to be able to clear my name because the prima facie case stands without challenge. And there's no other forum for me to do that. So if perhaps that had been framed differently, maybe they would have then said that maybe they should have looked into it to give her the opportunity to clear her name in connection with those. Because even though the person has been found culpable for one, as long as that accusation stands at the level of a prima facie finding, then what is the mechanism for which we're to be able to clear her name in connection with those specific ones as well? So maybe that is a question of strategy. But like I said, it's also a political choice whether or not to go to ECOWAS. And if she had gone only on the right to information on only that ground, and ECOWAS had found for her, for instance, we would have been having a general conversation which would outstrip the size of the real ECOWAS decision and say that this is proof that, things were done procedurally wrong against us. And I think in this case, the game was played and again, they didn't really, help her in the final analysis.
Do you know why I pause? To be frank with you, there are things that Oliver does that surprises me. You know that he was involved in this case here in Ghana for some of the petitioners or one of the petitioners against the former Chief Justice. And you are listening to him and he's professional and actually giving the former Chief Justice the benefit of the doubt and projecting that some of the issues she raised at the ECOWAS court, they may properly, if found, could be found in her favor here in Ghana.
Of course, instead of that place.
And that even over there, from the way she sees the way they frame the case, some of them, if they had phrased it differently, she may have gotten them. All right, so the question I was going to ask you, you literally have taken away from me. But I must ask, on Thursday, if the Supreme Court of Ghana proceeded to determine the cases that are pending in respect of Torkornoo's removal, would they take solace from the ECOWAS courts?
I think you are going to find some clashes between some of the things the ECOWAS court finds and the court finds. And for instance, on the question of the prima facie, for instance, I have disagreed with our Supreme Court's position that it requires some form of a hearing, because I feel like it puts a greater burden on the public in being able to cross that threshold. And the ECOWAS court seems to agree that a prima facie determination is just a filtering mechanism. And that's, for me, I think it's proper for holding office holders accountable.
And I saw you wrote extensively.
I've written extensively on this question as well. So, but I think the Supreme Court is fairly set in its views regarding, the prima facie and people getting hearing. What has not been determined as to whether the prima facie case is self-challengeable. Is it a political decision when the Council of State has made it, and for which reason it is not reviewable by a court? So when you see the ECOWAS court says that the decision is only deliberative and administrative, it's not judicial or quasi-judicial. So when the court is looking at that,
it's only a filtering mechanism.
It's a filtering mechanism. Whether or not you can challenge the prima facie determination is a question which has remained unanswered.
Right. It's an administrative decision.
Right.
Administrative decisions are subject to the review of the court.
So the question then becomes:
they say that the place where her rights are in jeopardy is the committee hearing and not the prima facie determination.
But I made this point because of the fact that we are talking about administrative decisions. Administrative decisions are not sacrosanct; they are subject to judicial review.
But you see, the scope of review of administrative decisions is narrower than if you are challenging them on the merit. So you can't challenge it on the merit, but you can only review as to whether or not the Wednesday rules apply, whether there's legality and reasonable. So the scope is different, whether or not you're seeking a judicial review. Review of that. And so we say, for instance, that somebody who should not have been a member of the Council of State was there when the decision was made. Those makes it narrower. But as to whether or not the substantive findings should be analyzed as if it was a judicial review, this takes a different approach in terms of that. So that's kind of...
In fact, if you read some judges and some jurisprudence, they will say that prima facie, actually the determiner doesn't need to put a word on paper. They could simply say, I have looked at the document on the face of it. I say that there's prima facie, period. But the CJ was looking for a reasoned decision, like pages of work.
Yes.
And, you know, when I led the matter against Loretta Lamte, CJ Wood gave a reasoned decision, a number of pages, and indicated why the petition by my client, why do I forget his name? I cannot forget his name. Richard Nyama should be investigated, and any other petition was thrown out. She was saying there should be something like that. But some people, some aspects are of the view that for prima facie, you don't need that.
Yeah. No, but you know, you see, what we're talking about, there's a document to refer. You can read, understand the basis for which the judge arrived at the particular decision. And that is for removal of Loretta Lamte of NCC, right?
Right.
Now, if you escalate the thing to Chief Justice, the removal is so important, and for us, you know, in this country, first time. So it is important that the persons involved in this show us the basis, the reasoning behind the decision. I mean, they may not be clear-cut.
Because the place you should be doing that is the committee.
Exactly.
Where she had the opportunity to cross-examine all the witnesses, and again she raised the issue that the petitioners themselves did not testify, and they called witnesses.
Yes.
They also said that one too.
Of course.
You know.
Yes, but you see, on that, I can understand her point, and you should sometimes just stand back and see where she's coming from. These are the people who are making the allegations against me. Okay. Why can't they be in the box for me to cross-examine them? Yeah, we understand that you can file a case and somebody will come and give evidence on your behalf. Why didn't you come yourself? You understand? These are real questions that, you know, we can ask.
Okay, so on that note, I wanted to read a few messages, then we take a break, but I think I should take the break and return. On return, we are still staying in the court. So it means that this week is going to be interesting. You've seen the application the CJ has filed, former CJ has filed, asking that certain things she was not, yes, they should wait. It's been withdrawn?
I saw the Deputy Attorney General put up a statement.
Okay.
It was withdrawn on Friday.
On Friday?
Yeah.
So we should wait for the judgment on Thursday, as the court has announced. All right, so on Thursday we'll hear the Ghanaian Supreme Court to whether it will go the way of the African ECOWAS court or they will hold differently. Oliver believes that there are things that they can hold differently in her favor if they are proved. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile we put Ghana first. My guest Alexander Chum Berima, Dr. Kennedy has taken leave of us because he has to catch a flight to go support the Black Stars. Oliver Bakavomawo, John Darko are here in the studio. And what are we talking about next? We're talking about the editor of the Herald newspaper. I hope we can do that very briefly. Editor of the Herald newspaper, Lardy Dogbe. He was convicted of contempt for defying an injunction order by the High Court. And the next day, when he was supposed to be in prison, he got bail pending appeal by ex parte motion. And so we're going to ask a few questions about that. Emmanuel J. Bequin says that in all of this, my concern as an ordinary citizen is that if the once all-powerful head of judiciary is now somewhat crying foul of the same system she superintended over, then where is my hope for true justice in the system as a mere ordinary person? That's a good question, though. You, the ordinary person, where's your hope? Okay, so why is Chum shouting? He should make this point by moderating his voice, and we shall hear him. He shouldn't be shouting. His shouting is oppressive. Listening to him. That's from Ken. Prince Henry in Koforedia says that the fact is Torkornoo can go to The Hague, but the law will still be the law. She is her own enemy because she chose politics over the law that was doing the bidding of the MPP instead of the larger Ghanaian bidding. these are allegations, right? These allegations are not proving. Okay, so you said she must dance her own panogo, and the $10 million she wanted, she didn't get. And you say Nipa ye Cobra. Why? If you file a case and you believe that you win, you ask seek for something. That's what she did. Edubuahin says that no, Johnson Esiedin Ketia did not state that the former Chief Justice was, quote, not fit for purpose, end quote. Instead, he famously used that exact phrase to describe the leadership of the Ghana's Electoral Commission. During a live broadcast on Joy News PM Express, the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress explicitly demanded the removal of the EC chairperson, Jim Mensah, and her deputies, declaring that the commission in its current state, quote, was not fit for purpose due to the electoral mismanagement. While he did not use that specific phrase for the judiciary, Esiedin Ketia has heavily criticized former and suspended heads of the judiciary using different language. Thank you very much. This one says, Musa Abattoir, the Constitution is clear and no one is above the law. Many public office holders have left office under difficult circumstances and moved on with dignity. Instead of prolonging the matter, Justice Torkornoo should accept the process and focus on her future and allow Ghana to move forward in peace, because the law is the law. The national interest must always come before personal grievance. Dr. Brown, CEO of Forestry Commission, must be commended for his good work. Which one is that? Okay. This is party people who must give shout outs to people who are doing things. Papa Bisu Spinter says, I would love to talk to my house matter only because of democracy to prevail in Ghana. I will have to caution MPP to handle Ken's issue with the greatest care. If not, that's the beginning of the final end of the MPP in Ghana's politics. My question I'm asking you guys is, you are saying that the MPP should talk to him so that he doesn't spill the beans. So does that make him patriotic then? If he will keep quiet simply because he'll be appeased, and not, then he doesn't have Ghana's interest at heart, as others say. Alan has already left with some trusted MPP members, and the last straw for MPP's end will be Ken. Again, they should mind how they criticize the NDC government. The ugly noise is just too much. Ghanaians are getting fed up. If not, they will remain in opposition for the next 30 years. Okay. You heard some people say these things and it never worked, eh? We remain in opposition for 30 years. Finally, Master Planner Junior in Kintampo says that all what we do today will be available for us in the future. We, the MPP, are taking notes and writing dates. Just give time some time. All right, we hear you for your comments. Now let's go to Larry Dogbe, editor of the Herald newspaper. On that note, let me begin with you.
Yeah, Samson, I think on Larry's matter, I will just be very brief. And the only thing I would like to say is that...
So we go to the narcotics quickly.
Colleague, friends, and media, and every other person has to be very careful when it comes to orders of the court. If a court order you or makes an order or make any pronouncement as to what you should do or should not be doing, please and please and please, let us give that utmost respect to the court. Okay? It's very important, because the moment we start doing things that brings the names or the image of the court into disrepute, it wouldn't help the country. If the court had said something to you, staying away from it wouldn't have caused any harm. This contempt that came on him as at, is it yesterday?
Yesterday that he got bail.
Yesterday he got bail, so it was about 2 days ago, if I'm right.
That's right.
2-3 days ago, yes. So
the previous day.
The previous day, yes. So he would have been free from this. He would have been free from this. So I would urge not just him, but every other media person who is reporting on something, or if you have a case with someone in court or whatever, be careful with comments that you go out to be making to the general public, or to write on a social media handle, or to publish in any newspaper or whatever. And be minded that it's not just you. Your interest, yes, is important, but the whole country too has an interest in the court. And the identity that is coming from the court is something that we all respect, whether we like it or not. And for that reason, we must always be careful with how we deal with the court. Because the court is one last institution that will never entertain anything disrespectful from anybody. We have been in this country, we've seen, very senior lawyers being held before the Supreme Courts on matters of contempt, based on something that they said, or yes, mostly something that they said. The lives of Sir John of blessed memory, even our own Attorney General, in 2021, if I'm right, he was called by the Supreme Court, Anyenini for contempt because he had said something that the court felt was wrong. Okay, so we all have to be careful. That is the only thing that I will say. Yes, allow the court to do its own work and not to be crossing it with things that will distract the court.
Okay, interesting comments there. I want to try and give a small timeline of what has happened, at the risk of seeming to talk quite a bit. Oh, thank you very much. We have David Annan, who is the lawyer for the Herald newspaper editor, joining us. David, good.
Yeah,
good.
Samson's been a long time.
That's true. Yeah, and having you on the show reminds me of those days when you used to be on Newsfile.
Yeah. Those feisty days when we used to do battle with words.
Yes.
And not with swords.
Right. So let me try this quickly and then have David Annan answer a few questions. On November 22, 2024, Kevin Autry filed a defamation case, a lawsuit, together with his company, Springfield. They filed a lawsuit against Larry Alans Dogbe, together with two others. That is her newspaper and another gentleman, for allegedly making defamatory statements in the newspaper on their website. That was in November 22, 2024. Then, yes. Hold on, I'm coming to you. Then, December 19, 2024, Kevin Autry applied to the court for an interlocutory injunction to restrain the defendants in the case from making further publications pending the determination of the suit. Then, January 30, 2025, Larry filed a statement of defense to the substantive suit. June 11, 2025, the High Court granted an order of interlocutory injunction restraining the defendant from publishing statements intended to undermine and tarnish the image of the plaintiff's reputation pending the final determination of the suit. Then June 25, 2025, Larry filed a notice of appeal against the court's injunction ruling. And then September 23, 2025, the court issued an order for substitute service of the injunction order to be served on him through physical posting on the court's notice board, national newspaper publication and on WhatsApp. November 12, 2025, despite the subsistence of the injunction, Larry and his paper are alleged to have gone ahead to make publications that prominently featured the plaintiff and alleging some $94 million fraud case. November 17, 2025, is it? Then he made another publication. February 6, 2026, another publication was made. And then February 10, 2026, they filed the application for committal for contempt of the court because of these publications. I'll leave the rest of them. And then eventually, on June 25, His Lordship Isaac Addo delivered his judgment, finding Larry guilty of criminal contempt beyond reasonable doubt and sentencing him to 7 days in prison. Is my narration correct?
I've got to correct quite a few things, Samson, that you got wrong.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, when it came to the notice of appeal, I filed it, not Larry. Larry.
When I say Larry, I mean he is the party. You are just the lawyer.
Yeah, but there are 3 parties, 3 defendants.
Right.
And so this matter came up, and we said we have not been served with anything because they keep going by substituted service. And I'm surprised Samson didn't mention that fact.
I mentioned that.
Substituted service?
Yes, please. In three different means. Posting on the court notice board, in a publication in a newspaper, and also through his WhatsApp number.
Now, let's take the posting on the notice board first of all. When you do that, you're a lawyer. You know that proof service, you've got to file an affidavit of posting. That wasn't done. They didn't exhibit any affidavit of posting to show that they had posted anything on the court notice board. Posting things on the court notice board is a roundabout way of trying to serve, because, as you know, service should be what? Personal. You've got to serve the guy personally, put it in his hand. And then when you do that, the guy cannot come and say that I've not been served. Now, so that deals with the court notice board. Now, we come to their WhatsApp. Their WhatsApp posting, they didn't give it to a court bailiff to do. And they did not also give it to a court process server to also do. In other words, the lawyers for the plaintiff, Kevin Autry. And why don't you like mentioning the guy's name? You don't seem to want to mention who the plaintiff is. Kevin Autry.
I've mentioned his name. David, I've mentioned his name.
Okay. Because,
several times.
I see. So I want to tell you why Kevin Autry is even bringing this application in the first place. And that is because according to the court filings, according to what is in court, so I'm not speaking sub judice here. Sub judice only applies when I refer to matters that are not prevalent in the court processes or that did not happen in court. Then sub judice applies. Otherwise, as even a party, one is entitled to speak about one's case in court, provided that it's an accurate reflection of what happened in court. Now let's go on. So Kevin Autry goes and takes a loan of $50 million from an Italian company called Petrarco SA. And he's given a time period within which to pay. He has signed all the necessary documents to that effect, including an agreement, what they call a facility agreement. His signature is there. In court, I asked him, and he admitted that was his signature. So the next question was, how much had he paid back? Because the information that we have is that he hasn't paid a substantial sum, if at all. He hasn't paid a substantial sum back. And so the Petrarco SA guys want their money. It's a simple request. I gave you money for a loan, pay me back. And now, from the way Kevin Autry started handling them, they decided to file a petition to IOCO. It's a serious matter. They decided to file a petition to IOCO, file one to the CID, and file one to the Attorney General. Now, while all these were pending, Larry just stated the fact that this is what Petrarco are saying. They have now elevated the issue from being a purely commercial transaction to one being for fraud. Now you ask, why is it that 50 million has become 94 or over $90 million? Now, the interest on the 50, as of the time that we are speaking, has accrued to beyond $63 million. Now, there is a second transaction. Now, apart from them taking the loan from Petrarco, the second transaction, which was a company gave them fuel products. And they sold this, that is Kevin and his Springfield partner, they sold these fuel products to Bosch. So there's a separate issue concerning Bosch with Kevin and his group. Now, they went and told, according to Petraco, they went and told Petraco that Bosch had not paid them. How much was that? $29 million. Quite apart from the 50 and the 63, the 50 which has become 63. So there's now a $29 million. Now, the company that gave the fuel products to Springfield, the second plaintiff, and Kevin admitted in court that he is the owner, he's the shareholder. So they are interchangeable. When I say Kevin, I'm also talking about Springfield. Now, after the company giving the products to Springfield and Springfield selling it to Bosch, the company, realizing that Springfield was not paying them back, sold the rights to that $29 million deal, fuel product deal, to Petraco. So now Petraco had two transactions with the second plaintiff and Kevin. Now, when you add the 29 to the 63, it comes to about 90 million, about 90 plus. Herald said it was 94, but let's assume it's plus 90. That's the amount outstanding. Pay the money back, you will pay. Then when people go and write about it, because look, this thing is affecting Ghana's reputation. And so when a journalist who is protected by the tenets of Article 162, Clause 4, that they should not be harassed or penalized for the content of their newspapers and things, is rather the one who has been brought to court on the basis of an injunction. Now look, this injunction, we looked at it and said, I fought that issue. And we looked at it and we said that it shouldn't be granted because it's injunct speech. I've never heard of a situation where free speech, which is guaranteed, can be injuncted. Now, let's go into a bit of law here.
David,
Samson,
David,
is an equitable one.
David,
remedy.
David.
In other words,
hello, David.
It emanates from the doctrines of equity.
Hello, David.
Yes.
Okay. For the purposes of time and my other panelists in the studio, I want us to do it this way. You fought the injunction unsuccessfully, and the injunction order was made. When the injunction order was made, you were unhappy about it, so you went to appeal it, correct?
I went to appeal it.
Thank you. Just a moment. I'll ask a question.
Notice of appeal.
Just a moment. I'll ask a question. Then you filed an appeal against it. The contempt is that, as the court found in the judgment of the contempt ruling, or in the contempt ruling, the judge said that he had disobeyed the order of the court not to make further publications pending the determination of the suit, and he had done so.
No, don't phrase it that way. You're getting it wrong.
No, I'm not getting. Hold on.
Intended to further malign.
No, wait, David, wait. David, if you listen to me briefly, it can work, because I'm simply reading out to you the judgment. I'm not saying my own thing.
Are you telling me that's what the judge wrote there? Because I have the judgment right in front of me.
Okay, so the point...
I procured that judgment that you're reading, by the way. I got it yesterday.
Okay. So I got a judgment the previous night, not yesterday. So my point is that by the judgment, he was found guilty of contempt because he was not supposed to make further publications that will tarnish the reputation. Oh, can I finish? That will tarnish the reputation of the first plaintiff pending
the determination of the suit. And the court came to the conclusion that despite the injunction order, 3 other publications had been made which tarnishes the reputation. And that is why he was...
Everything you are saying, you say you don't have time. Everything you are saying is the plaintiff's argument. Don't repeat it to me.
I'm not reading plaintiff's argument. I'm reading the judgment of the court.
Those were the plaintiff's arguments which have been transposed into the judgment. So that is one of the bases upon which we are contesting that judgment.
If it is the plaintiff's point that the judge has now put in his judgment, they represent the judgment. So they are the judgment, are they not?
You are a lawyer, Samson. Are you telling me that a judgment can reflect one side? Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, David, let me do this last thing from the judgment and ask you the question then. In the 26-page judgment, this is how the judge concluded. He said, quote, "To vindicate the authority of this court and to serve as a deterrent to others who may believe they are above the law, this court cannot gloss over this willful disobedience. Accordingly, the respondent," then he writes Larry Dogbe in caps, "is hereby sentenced to 7 days imprisonment in prison custody. Let a warrant of committal be issued immediately to the Director General of Ghana Prison Service on his designated officers or his designated officers to carry out this sentence into effect." End quote.
Explain my point. You are reading the obvious. What is the question?
Okay, so was your client taken to prison custody?
Is that what is that the question that, so you left the merits of the application, you read the judgment to me so as to vindicate the judgment, which we have appealed against, by the way. You didn't allow me to explain the deficiencies in the order of injunction, and then I don't understand what you're doing.
Okay, yesterday you secured bail for your client, is that correct?
Of course you know it's correct. You know that already.
Okay, so I heard from the discussions yesterday that you are filing an appeal within 10 days. Is that correct?
No, we have filed the appeal already. The bail was secured pending appeal, so you cannot secure the bail. This is a prison criminal matter, so when you go for bail, you have to file the appeal first.
Right.
So we filed the appeal yesterday, and you were talking about the judgment. I'm telling you, Samson, that the judgment you are reading was procured by me, and you reminded me.
It's okay, don't worry. But I'm reading it. I just wanted you to know that I was reading the judgment.
From me.
All right, thank you. I don't know you are the one who procured it. So, back to the question, David, can we have a discussion and conclude it here?
Let's go on.
All right. So your client is on bail pending a determination of an appeal that you have filed.
Yeah, but you see, that is not our primary focus. And I want you to give me about 5 minutes to explain our side of the story, because you cannot just repeat the plaintiff's side that has been captured in the judgment and expect your people to know both sides of the story.
Okay, David.
To let both sides be heard by the public. So give me 5 minutes to explain our side of it.
David, I don't have 5 minutes.
So why did you read all that stuff? If you had told me, I'd have rather said what I want to say, and for you not to read that stuff when I'm gone.
On the appeal of the contempt ruling, what are you telling the Court of Appeal? That the contempt was wrong?
Definitely, we are attacking the service. We are attacking the service that you were busy quoting and saying that because of. Tell me, as a lawyer, is notice of appeal proof of service?
The judge held that you were served. That's all I can say.
Appeal proof of service, yes or no?
The judgment said your client was served.
Yeah. You are becoming very pedantic. Something.
I cannot say your client was not served. When the judgment says your client was served, that's why he was convicted.
I'm not asking you to say he was not served. I'm asking you to say that this is what.
Okay, David. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. Please cut him off. Cut him off. Thank you very much. We can't have a discussion like this. All right. So, as it is now, questions are being raised that, I wrote about this and I asked the question, punishing a journalist for contempt. Could it have been, and I know you will endorse that instead of putting the person in prison, why not give them a fine to pay or a caution or something of the sort?
Yeah, I think something. I mean, if you don't mind, I'll start maybe from the bail application. I've read the ruling on the bail, and I think that
by the same judge.
Yeah, and I think, in all honesty, it's the finest moment of the judge, because the judge says that I admit that the bail application has to be brought on notice, but I am mindful that in emergency situations where there's life-threatening instances, well, in regard to the length of the sentence, that I will grant an interim 10-day, that you repeat it on bail. We don't typically have in our rules mechanisms for emergency dockets for these things to be taken expeditiously. In fact, the registry of the courts are not set up to be able to isolate cases where there's an emergency that applied. I've seen, like many other jurisdictions, where a person on death row at the 11th hour can procure an order. We don't have those systems set up. So I think that is something which I understand that the CIA is being reviewed. We can think through carefully as to emergency situations of this nature. Now, I have seen also, sort of your write-up regarding procedurally whether or not, Larry and co failed to respect the order. My concern is that the order is in the nature which is difficult to comply with. Okay, so I've looked.
Let's project the order of injunction. We have it, so let's project it. Yeah,
I've looked fairly at this. Now, we must remember that the original case that was brought was about defamation.
Correct.
Of Mr. Kevin Springfield in this matter. The substance of defamation is that you have injured a person's reputation without justification or any truth to it. That's a matter that must be proved to begin with. Then an injunction is sought, which says that the order says the person should not make any further publications.
Let me read it. It is hereby ordered that the defendants are hereby restrained from further publication of statements intended to undermine and tarnish the plaintiff's reputation within the society, the petroleum industry, and as a businessman until the final determination of the suit.
So my first concern is that when you say further statements intended to, it is already presuming that there's a prior statement that has already been, which has done that, which is the substance of the main thing before you.
Right.
And then we have to be able to have that conversation, the global question of different jurisdictions are dealing with these questions of prior restraints on publications. We saw this in the Fourth Estate and the National Service matter, that a lot of us were unhappy about that being granted. My concern that if you're not careful, and so many courts have decided that the essence of even the defamation suit is a recognition that it is not irreparable injury. And so even if the person goes on and makes further, you can still be remedied in that regard. So prior restraint is something which generally is frowned upon. But in this case, and which is what worrying to me, the court goes on and says, it is not about whether or not the statements you make are true or not true. You must comply with my order. So in essence, even if Mr. Kevin Ochre was arrested in Dubai, and you publish that he was arrested, my interest is to see whether or not the fact of saying truthfully that he was arrested would injure his reputation. That I don't think that we can allow that to stand in any form or measure. Because in this case...
But you are not suggesting that if the court is wrong in its decision, in making an order that you find the order is atrocious, it should not be obeyed.
No, I don't agree with that. So this is in terms of the order itself, which is being challenged.
Right.
This is about whether or not you should be convicted for the contempt. So this is the contempt ruling.
That's right.
Which says, because they did provide a charge sheet from the Westminster Court that says, this is the basis on which we did the report. One, the court says it was not authenticated through diplomatic means.
That's right.
I absolutely do not think that's correct. To be able to say that, even though you have been able to provide this which has not been denied, in the time in which you have to respond to a contempt charge against you, we as a private individual must get it authenticated through diplomatic channels for me to be able to agree that it is something I can look at.
You didn't ask and that was denied. You remember the Lumba, legal wives case?
But this is a contempt, and this is because even this, we must remember that what he has to be able to prove that is intended to injure reputation is a higher threshold than even the defamation one. Because this is a criminal matter.
That's right.
So if a person has provided something for you, which even on the face of it looks like how do you call it? A charge sheet from another. I don't think that you should proceed without giving them the opportunity to procure, if you feel like only an authenticated one can be relied on for you to do so. Now, then the court goes on further, and so for me the most important thing, and the second issue is that the court says about the sub judice rules generally. So there was an independent basis beyond the order itself. It said that because the proceedings are sub judice, there should not have been proceedings with publications on it. The effect of it goes beyond Larry. It goes for everybody else. Because in essence, nobody else could make publications regarding or not Mr. Kevin Taylor was, Kevin Ochi was arrested in Dubai, whether or not there was an order or whether there were creditors in the matter, because the matter is completely sub judice. I don't agree that that's a fair balance.
No, the order was directed at particular people.
No, I'm saying
the defendants.
Yes.
So that order, if I or any other journalist had to publish about Kevin Taylor, Kevin Ochi, they will not be in contact.
What I'm saying is that there are two independent grounds of his decision. The first one is the order itself. It said that I have an order which prevents you from making statements intended to disparage. And that I do not care whether or not what you have published is true or false. That is my first issue. The second ground is that the matter is itself sub judice anyway. And that because it's sub judice, publications on it are frowned. That I also don't agree with. That's what I'm saying. So that's the second independent head on which I find that the court concluded on the matter. But for me, I agree with you, and what we agreed on is the fact that if there's an order which you are displeased about, that it should have been dealt with. I do not believe that on the finding of the contempt as a criminal matter, which the court has now given them the opportunity to appeal, that the court is necessarily correct on it. But the best thing in this is that the court, even having made the order, is willing for that decision to be reviewed.
That's right.
And knows that 7 days would have been served prior.
Right.
And for which reason gave that. I think that's the most important thing for me in terms of this conversation.
Right. John, so I do many defamation defense for the media and journalists. And I have cause to mention the GJA president at the Press Freedom Day, when they honored me with Press Freedom Champion. He had a list of about 17 defamation cases against journalists and media houses. Out of that list, 13 of them, I'm the one who is defending the journalists and the media houses. The point Oliver raised, I have raised it before some judges, that if a party says, I have been defamed, and they are coming for injunction, don't grant it. Because allow the person who, even though the suit is pending, wants to say further defamatory comments, let them say it, so that the plaintiff will use it rather as aggravating for more damages, rather than stop them. And in fact, sometimes they agree. I've had occasions they have agreed with me, I've had occasions they have disagreed with me. And David Annan, I will show him an authority. The famous Lord Denning, he says if you are suing in defamation, wait to get your damages for the defamation and not a prior restraint.
I mean, so, see, I am a bit biased when it comes to these kinds of injunctions. And for the kind of democracy we are building, we need strong, and fearless media. And that is why restraining the media in circumstances for me is a no-no. We should allow the media to freely express themselves. Of course, we must also understand that we have the court as the independent arbiter. The court is the one that is holding all the various arms of government together. And as much as possible, we need to give the court the respect it deserves. So, for instance, I mean, in this particular case, you may not agree with the order of the court, and it's your right not to agree. Until that decision is appealed and reversed, you have to respect the order of the court. You know, and I think my brother here made a valid point that look, there are situations where, you know, the court can take its time. It's not every time that you need to send people to jail. You know, you can give them some other forms of punishment, including fine. You know, we need to liberate the media, and that is what makes our democracy work. We need to liberate the media, but I believe they also know that that comes with some form of responsibility, that you do the right thing. In this particular instance, I didn't follow it much, but I read the materials you sent to me last night. You know, and I feel for Larry, because you see, one of the things I asked myself in defamation cases, if you know truth is a defense, and so if in the particular instance he referred to, if you have...
But in contempt, truth is not a defense.
Yeah. In contempt, yes. Of course, that's why you have to obey the order of the court, whether you like it or not.
Yes. So I've heard them arguing the truth of the publication in the contempt case.
Yes. But so
contempt, truth is not a defense.
So as for contempt, I mean, you have this obeying the order of the court.
Right.
You know, but I'm just saying that they're looking at it from the fact that they were telling the truth. And that they published, as a matter of fact, that Kevin had been charged, in the UK court.
That's one publication. There are 3 publications they used in the contempt.
That will work in the defamation case.
The actual case, yes.
You understand? It will work in that case. What I published was the truth. In that case, you may not get your damages you are requesting. But in this particular instance, the court gives an order, the order ought to be respected. If you don't respect the order of the court, then you should face the consequence. But one of the things my brother said, which I also believe
he says something which turns on service. He says
David,
that the substituted service,
notice on
sending by WhatsApp, was not done by a judicial officer,
a process server,
and that's a point of appeal. I won't, say anything, but the rules are to the contrary.
To be honest, I don't think it's the strongest leg of
I don't want it's clear in the rules. The lawyers can say
substantive, rather than the technicalities. But the substantive has more implications broadly about how we do this work. For instance, what's his name? Bryce Simmons. The case that has been brought against him by Ibrahim Mahama. And it turned only on whether he said that creditors are up in arms. This is what is being investigated on. Essentially, by this, Ibrahim Mahama can get to court, get an order against Bryce for not commentating on anything. But Bryce is the biggest source of our analysis regarding the mining sector and what engineers and planners does.
That's right.
So I am concerned that if we're not careful about these kind of rules, we debilitate or we prevent ourselves from getting the best scrutiny of these kinds of arrangements, I think.
Right. Yeah, and I think one of the things you mentioned, and I believe our courts should adapt, is the court's bail application, the response. You see, in other jurisdictions, courts make order, and they themselves will say, I'm pausing the execution for you to go and appeal. It is something we don't have in this country at all.
I think that's what Oliver was saying. As you are reviewing the rules.
Yeah, we really need to look at the fact that sometimes judges know that they can make mistakes. In this particular, some other judges wouldn't have even entertained the application at all, and we just insist that they should go to jail. So this judge did a very good job by saying, I'm staying my judgment. Let's take this, go and appeal. And you have 10 days within which to do that. If your appeal is successful, you go scot-free. I think that's a very good thing that we must encourage in our
There are people who are suggesting, including particularly members of your party, who are suggesting that there's something wrong with the bail because he's giving a convicted and sentenced today, the next day he's out there on bail. But you are saying something different.
Now, I don't know which members of our party, because the party doesn't have a position on that, but I'm saying, if somebody goes to court and secures a bail, that is the order, that is the court. Now, I think the question is whether he did that on notice or by ex parte motion. All applications
it's ex parte, that's why it has to be for 10 days.
Oh yes, all applications must be on notice. But if you go ex parte, orders are made to last for 10 days. And so within the our legal framework, I don't think there's anything wrong
especially
with
that the sentence is only for 7 days.
Yes. So if he goes inside,
would have served it.
Yes, you know. So I think it's, for me, I think it's important.
And the fact that it is the same judge who convicted him, sentenced him, the same judge who has now granted the bail.
Brilliant. I think that's a very good position that the judge took. I may take the same position if I were the judge.
Okay. So generally, is this about the judiciary attacking media freedoms? Is that what you see?
No, I don't think so. Look, the fact is that if orders of the court are made, we need to respect it.
Ex parte foda.
Yes, and I think that generally our courts have protected the media. I think we've done well for ourselves. Of course, there's always room for improvement in this particular case. And I think that if you look at the judgment of the court and the order of the court, it's in respect of this particular person. It was not made, it's not a general statement. And this one is because of the history. I think from 2025, from the timelines you give, from 2025, they've always been aware of what they ought to do and what they ought not to do. But they chose to do it. Of course, maybe they want to be that independent media that will express its views without any fear. It's okay, but sometimes we may have to suffer the consequence. I really hope that
it started 2024.
2024. I really hope that this gentleman will not end up in jail, and they will all learn from it. Our media is so critical for democracy that we ought to do everything to protect.
Okay, thank you.
This is a quick one.
Yeah.
But Sue, I think you mentioned slap in your post.
Yeah.
That I think, yes, I agree that this is not, we can't characterize this as an attack on the media by the judiciary. I think that the judiciary needs to be more aware of the ways in which, private capital and persons or elites in society are using the court systems through defamation suits to be able to suppress speech and scrutiny. That we have to be able to figure out a jurisprudence that deals with this challenge. Many jurisdictions have now, extensive rules.
They have anti-slap, legislation.
Absolutely. So that's something that we haven't yet figured out how to do. And interestingly, I googled before we came in Kevin Ochi, Dubai. And if you go to the bottom of the page, there are so many copyright claims that have been used to take down so many stories about it. This is one of the tools that are being used now, that they file repetitive copyright claims against stories that are unpleasant, that people specialize in this as well. So that's something our jurisdiction needs to.
Right. So we have been for a long time talking about something, but often we just mention it in passing and we stop. A defamation act, a contempt of court act. These are necessary.
Absolutely.
So would you also say that this is not the judiciary attacking, as you heard David Annan, as far as he's concerned, this is attacking the media, free press?
No, I disagree. You see, as my colleagues have already said, the court has always been open to the media. Anytime cases, and as you rightly indicated, you've led several cases on behalf of most of your colleagues, and I'm sure that in most of this, you will attest to the fact that the court has been very favorable with you. So I wouldn't, agree to the fact that the court is trying to, should I say, prevent people or maybe the media from talking or doing their things. No, we know the media always come out with their stories. But you see, the most important thing is that how true your story is. Because there's always this issue of defamation. Once you say something that is not what I did or what I said, I'll also come and try to claim myself.
But how true is not about content?
Oh, no. It's not about that. The content matter is different. That is about you not respecting something that the court has said.
All right.
Yes.
Well, on the question of judiciary and media, I'm disheartened by how long Latif's case. You know, you're handling to speak about this.
Yeah.
But if persons can be in court for so long, not be able to procure justice, I think it doesn't augur well for us.
Thank you very much. And so we continue that crusade. Tomorrow, join me on the law. At 2 p.m., I'll be hosting the GJA's General Secretary and also Tanko Musa Zakaria, who is a lecturer at the Teaches Media at the Media University, to talk about the important matters of how defamation suits, nuisance defamation suits, are used to stop public participation in important matters. So that's what we call SLAP. SLAP is strategic litigation against public participation. I have money. I see you are doing a story against me. I know what I'm going to sue you about will not wash, but I'll take up a suit because a suit is pending, so you can't talk anymore. Then I file defamation suit. I file injunction to injunct you from continuing to talk. The suit can take 6 years. So for the 6 years, you don't talk. You know, other countries, they have what you call anti-SLAP legislation. So the judges can help to stop some of these things from happening. And the contempt too. You know, the courts punish contempt unto themselves, and there are no rules about how it should be punished. So we may have to look at that. The show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tax. It's strong, it's tough. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. We'll be right back to check how this, you know, illegal drug went through our system to abroad. And now they say, Chum and his men, they say that they have arrested the kingpin. And they are looking for some more people. People are asking questions. Arrested kingpin, you haven't said anything. Tell us who it is so that we will be careful around the person. We'll be right back.
Not having introduced Ghana in a place like our major harbor, but we have our security people on the ground. And every day they are making arrests. I can tell you that in the last 1.5 years, we have, tainted assets, 73 that we are frozen. That
assets.
Is assets, 73.
73 assets.
Yes, in just 1.5 years. There's the prosecution
related to
narcotics. Done over, what do you call it?
So this is the same individual cases?
Individual cases. Okay. And as we speak, since we came over the 1.5 years, managed to get that Chief Justice to dedicate a court for narcotics control fight, which is helping us to move the cases faster. I got the Attorney General to give prosecutorial powers to the Narcotics Control Commission, which is also helping. Carrying out so many operations, intelligence-led operations, from marijuana to the opioid to the synthetic drugs. It is really, really a major challenge. I won't sit here and tell you that, oh, this is a light thing. Our biggest worry is even when they are able to skip from our borders, get to some other destination, and then they show that, oh, this also went through Ghana, but they couldn't see it. That's our biggest worry, because we are putting a very good fight within. We believe that we should be able to prevent anybody using us as transit.
Right. So we were here on the 24th of June when your outfit issued a statement. It was headed, "For immediate release, NACOC arrests key suspects in $296 million Australia-linked meth haul." The Narcotics Control Commission and the National Investigations Bureau, you should be saying DNI, because we have changed it. National Investigation Bureau have made their first arrest in an ongoing investigation into a 320 kilogram methamphetamine shipment. The drugs, which carry a street value of $296 million, that's Australian dollars, right, were traced to a storage facility in Garwin, Australia, in April 2026. The arrest is a significant breakthrough in unmasking the syndicate responsible for moving and diverting the record-breaking haul. NACOC investigators are currently working alongside international partners to track down remaining suspects believed to be part of a wider multi-jurisdictional network. This arrest marks a pivotal moment in a coordinated international effort to dismantle I like the words you guys have been using, to dismantle the sophisticated transnational syndicate. This development is a critical step in our ongoing mission to disrupt high-level narcotics trafficking. The arrests provide vital intelligence as we work to identify and apprehend additional members of this global criminal network. The Commission remains committed to collaborating with international partners to safeguard the region from influence of large-scale drug trafficking operations. Further arrests are expected as intelligence-led operations intensify across multiple jurisdictions. Signed, Francis Opoku-Amoah, AG Director, Public Affairs and International Relations. First question that people are asking, why did you sit down and watch for this to go out of through this country to Australia before the Australians, arrest and now you are coming to say you are investigating?
Samson, the answer to that question boils down to the country and the things that we have when it comes to fighting narcotics. You know that even at AIA, Accra International Airport, intrusive human and baggage scanner that we had, which was being handled by NACOC, got broken down 2 years to our coming into office to today. It was not too long ago that the Director General led a team to talk to these our counterparts in Netherlands for them to come to our aid. They've not agreed to give us these scanners, body one, human one, and then baggage one, intrusive ones, to be placed at Accra International Airport, to replace the old one that is not functioning. It is wrong. Likewise, our various ports, the seaports, even the land borders, the likes of Aflao and then Paga and Co. All these scanners should have been there to be scanning vehicles or baggages or whatever that are crossing these borders. But unfortunately, we don't have them. So in most instances, or 99% of the time, we are doing what we call it manual scanning. You get the things, okay, open, bring some down, open the glass, see, and then they are going. So it's a challenge for the country. It's a challenge. But you see, the most important thing is that even where we don't have them, and it happens, you don't need to still let it go that, oh, well, because we didn't have the machine, so if they have arrested, then they should carry the matter and then you go to sleep. No. So any time that we've had such cases with other jurisdictions, on our part, we take it on and then look for the people behind it and arrest them. This is not the first one. We've had one that happened in, I think, Belgium. It was also, cocaine mixed with some other food products. They arrested it. We also, we got the intel, did a very lengthy work on them. I think they were able to pick those who were behind it, and they are in court. Same with this very one. That when the intel came, we needed to find time to do a lot of, because in NACOC we do intel-led operations. So we needed to take more time to do a lot of intel on it. And indeed, the intel has yielded so many results. So it was after the intel has concluded on certain individuals and certain issues that we didn't have answers to. Then we commenced investigations. It was after that this event came up that we have commenced investigations into the matter. But coincidentally, the time, it just came to meet the news which had come up from, I think, BBC or one of the international media houses. Yes. So that is it. So the first person that investigations, having lined up all the people that we were going to pick, the first person that we needed to go for was the lead person who, led this entire shipment or process the whole thing and ensure that this thing will leave this country. So we were lucky to have this one, and even that person, it took us about 3 days, and that's how come you are seeing BNIB mentioned. Because at the latter part, BNI had to come in to help us with some gadgets that we didn't have. And it was that gadget that assisted us in locating the physical location of the person. Okay, so that was even the third night.
Who is this person?
Oh, it's one. I mean, the name, I'll be restricted in putting the name out. Because the moment I mentioned the name, the other people that we are about to pick are all going to go. Now we put 2 people. She was picked first, and another guy was also picked on today Saturday, on Thursday night, around 7 p.m. We picked another guy who assisted her in doing most of the lead works. So he too has been picked on Thursday night. We have some other 5 people who are going to be picked by Monday. And it's going to go in that order until we get to the very last person, and then we can come up with something and then approach the court.
You are telling me,
yes,
that if you picked a kingpin,
yes,
the others will not know. So if you say it in public, then you are doing something else.
Yes. It is true that the others will not know, because see,
how is that?
No, it's true.
You have picked 2 of them, and you are saying there are others who will not know that you have picked 2 of them already.
Because of how the whole thing worked.
What kind of a syndicate is that?
You see, Samson.
Dummies.
Okay. So, for instance, there was one of them that we were supposed to have picked on this very same night that we picked that guy. Interestingly, when we got to his house, he had left the country around like 2 days to our going there. Such a person, the moment names comes out and he gets to know, the possibility of he not even coming back again is very high. But we need him. We need him. So if I tell Latrim Berman has been arrested and you get to Latrim Berman has been picked, will you come? You will not come, because you know you are connected to Latrim Berman. You have something to do with Latrim Berman. Latrim Berman has been picked. So will you come back to
yes, John.
He's going to do politics, don't mind him. He's going to do politics. But most of the things he has failed to do it.
What did you
do? You go. I'll come back again. You go in.
No. I'm just.
John, you know, the scary thing is for our country to be labelled as such a place.
Of course, yes, I agree.
And remember how we started the year, the previous year. I had Reverend Intim Fojo here, and you remember that occasion where I was putting him to strict proof.
We didn't listen to him. You got him arrested. The police.
Those things that he said were lies. Don't let us go there.
The police stormed his house. The people who were involved.
Everything the people just said about that. They were all lies. I have the video here. I can show you.
But you know some of those things.
They're all lies.
Listen, even though I was pressing him for evidence, it's my job to do so.
No, I know.
I was pressing him for the hard evidence. You know that some of these things you can't have hard evidence.
No, you can have. You said an aircraft came to the country and notes were taken out.
You say you don't even have. You say you don't even have. You say you don't have all the evidence. Do you have all the evidence?
Which one is all the evidence?
No, in this particular case we're talking about, do you have all the evidence? So you are expecting Reverend Chumfodio to provide all the evidence here.
Because he's alleged.
The guy had given you leave.
Because he's alleged. He will allege.
You just take your time. Just calm down. Calm down. Okay.
You talk. You'll come back again.
It's going to be a long week for you.
For who?
Yeah. You are the government. So don't shout now.
Anyway, I'm listening.
The point is that look, this government is destroying the reputation of this country. He had just said that this arrest didn't start from Australia. We had one in Belgium. So Ghana gradually is becoming the transit point of these drug laws. When Reverend Intim Fojo mentioned the Cayman Islands, the plane that left here to Cayman Islands, we were fighting him. I thought that was a fine opportunity for us to really work on intelligence, because that plane came here and then left for the Cayman Islands. Now, you know, the point is that when these drugs end up in a tolerant country, they will make noise about it. So imagine if that plane we're talking about had left to Netherlands or to Belgium or to Australia, I'm sure that intolerant country would have brought it up. And that is the reason why this one is out. The only reason why we know this case is because the Australians said that we are not going to allow this. And you know, they have published the names of the persons involved. They
are arrested there.
Yes, they arrested the person.
And they are in court.
Oh yes, they are.
And they are in court. They are not doing investigation. They are in court.
Yes, the interesting thing is that they were in court as far back as April. Okay, April 2026. It took us 2 months to inform the people of Ghana, and that one, the first information did not even come from the NACOC. It came from the media. In fact, I think Reverend Tim Fodjo had even hinted it before the government now came to tell us about this. And so you have a government that is really receptive to these illicit drug dealers. Look, we're in this country. We've been told that about $500 million.
How can you say that? No. A government that is receptive to drug dealing.
Yes, that is what. But otherwise, how would you tell me that $290 million worth of meth left this country and you didn't see? How do you tell me that? We're in this country, we're told that about $500 million worth of cocaine between Cape Coast and Takoradi. What did the government do about it?
Million. You see, you guys are always
half $1 billion.
Wrong. It was never $500 million.
Okay, how much is it?
Let's not be
how much is it?
If you are give the right information, don't be asking me questions.
How much?
Give the right information, you know it.
But, so you admit
it's
that
not true.
The country is gradually becoming the transit point for drugs, and we should all be worried. You see, when it leaves this country, those who are going to make their money will make their money. Maybe outside this country. My worry is that when the drugs stay in this country, we have our younger brothers and sisters who are going to become drug addicts. Their lives are going to be destroyed. And so there are critical questions that we need to ask. When was this exported from this country? In fact, which port? Do you know the seaport from which this product was?
I have every information.
Okay.
But it's not from me to
people of Ghana need to know.
Because the investigation is long going.
You know,
I can't be sitting here.
What are they telling us? They are telling us that they have arrested the shipper. Who are the real kingpins behind this?
So that is why investigation is ongoing.
It must the same. When this Cape Coast Takoradi issue came up, what did they do? Well, in this country, we know that there are big people behind it. They said they have arrested a mate and a driver.
Because they were doing what?
Okay?
Because they were doing what?
But
they were just transporting the goods. We don't want us to arrest them.
You and I know that there are bigger people, there are bigger fishes behind this. Where are those people?
Yes, I'm correct.
Where are those people? There are bigger people behind this.
John, you are saying you know them.
Exactly.
You
tell them to come to my house and come and arrest me.
John,
tell them to come to my house and come and arrest me. But he knows.
John, take a cue from me because those comments.
He knows there are bigger people behind this. Why? This trade. Don't they know that these the shippers in this particular, the shippers, the drivers, and the mates, they are the lowest on the food chain. They are the lowest on the food chain.
John,
the bigger
that's how investigation works.
And you are saying the government is an enabler.
Yes, the government is an enabler.
For what purpose?
But they should tell us.
For what purpose?
Otherwise, why would you tell me that we have over $500 million worth of cocaine being transported in this country, and we have only a driver and a mate arrested?
And this is a new development.
What is the investigation?
John, this is a new development.
I'm talking about the old cases, the cocaine that they arrested on the Takoradi Cape Coast Road. We know. He knows.
I'm saying, the question I'm asking you is, you are saying this is relative to this regime.
Yes.
Okay.
But this arrest happened, I think, last year. The Takoradi, the $500 million.
It's not $500 million.
There are those who have argued that perhaps this government is doing better.
Exactly.
Because they are exposing them, but some other time they were being facilitated, so they didn't get arrested.
You are free to play that role for them. It's fine. But here's the deal. But the case is making the case for the government. Which is fine. And I don't have any problem with that.
Sitting here on a number of occasions.
Let him make his point.
John here. John, who is my friend. John, whom I know from very far away.
He's my brother.
Has sought to accuse me of doing something for you.
Samson, you are making a point. You are making a point. You see, you sit here as a journalist. You do advocacy, and sometimes you play the devil's advocate, which is okay. Okay, and in this case, you are doing the devil's advocate for the government, and you are saying that perhaps.
Devil's advocate for the government.
The government is a devil.
There is no longer devil's advocacy. Okay, go on.
But so my point is that this government, clearly you can see that they don't want to fight this. And clearly, you mentioned that you don't have the equipment.
The airport machine broke down 2 years to your exit.
My brother.
You didn't fix it.
My brother.
And you are saying we are not serious. We don't have gone for new one to bring.
My brother, the airport is not the only place. We have the seaport. You are saying that the equipment is.
Did you fix the airport? That working under your government.
Oh, you are in government right now, so stop.
I'm asking you a simple question.
Stop talking about when you were in government. You are in government now.
2 years to your exit.
When
the machine got broken down, and you never thought of even fixing it.
The Australian shipment, when did it happen? Did it happen at the NPP? No, the question, did it happen at the NPP government? It happened under your watch. And so if you are talking about the fact that government is so invested...
Do you want that to be comparative analysis of cases that happen and I'm in during time? I can line them up for you.
So you see... You can make all the noise. The point here is that the people of Ghana are worried. Who are these exporters of these drugs? We need to know.
Listen. We need to bring them.
In Australia,
please allow me.
In Australia, the government has arrested people. People are being, going through trial. You haven't done anything. Now you are telling us.
You haven't done anything.
No. I'm saying, but they started this way back in April.
Do you know how long we have been doing interweeks?
Okay.
You have no idea about this.
So you see, you're not even allowed me to talk. But this is the point. Whether you like it or not,
please.
No, whether
it's fine.
No, whether you like it or not, the people of Ghana are worried. The drugs. You see, sometimes when it lives here and we get a tag as a transit point, for me, it's not even the West. The West is where some of the drugs are left here for people to consume.
Yeah.
And you should agree. You should be worried about that.
I am more than worried.
You should be worried.
And that's why I always check them.
You should be worried that Ghana is now very friendly to do drug laws, and they believe that it's okay to bring their drugs here because either the government is sleeping or the government is enabling it. No,
you are the one saying this.
Yes, I'm saying that either the government is sleeping on its job, protecting us from these drug laws, or the government is enabling.
The government is sleeping. Do not go in to bring in scandals.
I hope none of them is true.
None of them is true.
Okay,
indeed.
Thank you. The concluding comments of John. Oliver, you recognize that we have been told by NCCE, we have also been told by which other institution, even NACOC itself, about how drugs are infiltrating even schools in forms, in ways that is unthinkable. What is his name? Is it Youth Development Minister? Akufo-Addo spoke about some statistics, very disturbing. But before we get there, Oliver, when the police issue a statement about a suspect, they tell us Osimesi has been arrested. Why is this special?
on what?
The Australians have mentioned the people they have arrested.
They are in court.
Why can't they tell us?
I also think that perhaps I remember there was some earlier conversations around some airport incident as well, where the general feeling of a lot of people was that some people were being shielded.
Right.
The balance between keeping investigative secrecy and also the public's right to know is something that must be done carefully. And I do hope that NACOC is paying attention to where it seems that people are being shielded with respect to information. And it's also important that, as he said, even when people are arrested and put before the court, that NACOC issues a statement and says that these persons have been placed before a court. So that there's a follow-through afterwards. For instance, in the airport situation, I never heard anything thereafter in terms of statements issued by NACOC.
They are in court.
No, I'm saying that a second statement was never issued.
I agree.
So like the follow-up then makes you go, it keeps that in the public knowledge that in fact certain things are happening in that regard. But the Gulf of Guinea is a big problem globally. UNODC has done a lot of work here, and I can say that none of the countries on the Gulf of Guinea have the equipment necessary to be able to deal with the menace that we are facing. Now, you can say that politically we are kind of considering whether the level of investment required, whether it is even into the Navy to be able to patrol our waters and all of those things, are not being done sufficiently, and whether or not we can be able to foot that bill. But the very minimum, looking at even in terms of the cost implications of things that are brought through the ports, and in terms of the cost to us, in terms of revenue, because we are not able to even scan and determine what is in those containers.
So in Australia, it was just X-ray scan.
Yeah, just X-ray scan.
We can't do that.
But you cannot sniff meth. You cannot search meth through a container of so many charcoal bags. So there's those things which you don't have the equipment to be able to do the work. And I was listening to the minister who said, we don't have this equipment, but I don't want it to be a but. It's a priority And so that you don't put, officials who are doing this work into the impossible. Even in terms of doctors cannot just listen to symptoms and diagnose you anymore. You have to do tests. So I think that the level of investment required, we are not seeing it for them to be able to be equipped to do this work. It also then has implications for the prosecutorial capacity of narco other agencies involved. And I say this because, I already know that narco doesn't like me around their premises because I give them too much. I give them too much trouble.
It's not true.
They are afraid that nobody comes and will take me again. But it raises questions because you have very little to be able to prove that at the time the containers left Ghana, they contained the materials that we are talking about. Because that you have to then investigate the entirety of the route, you don't have any ways of being able to verify whether or not at any point it stopped, that those materials were then introduced at that point. These are questions that I think defense lawyers are going to be dealing with when these matters go to court. So it's not only in this case, but in other several instances where we have to wait till other ports of arrival then inform us that this is what we have found. It raises different evidentiary questions for the port of departure as to the material point when this was sent and who are those involved.
You would have thought that when Reverend Tim Fojo was raising these alarms, whether it's false or whatever it is, the things that needed to be done would have been done so that this cache of, meth could not have left this country only for Australia to bust it.
Let them play the politics with it.
So how many others have left without our knowledge?
I think that it's open seas. Because essentially, if what you are relying on, even in terms of AIA, baggage scanners do not exist. Where through the airports, it's usually where you don't see the biggest quantities sent. But even through that, it's very difficult to be able to determine. And so I don't think that we are in any capacity to be able to do this without equipping the agencies with the necessary tools to be able to do this. That we are just, once in a while we may get lucky, Hail Mary, arrest one, make a show of it. But in terms of the vast majority of cases, it's more profitable now for these things to go through than they currently are the situation. And even in terms of the domestic markets, the truth is that there's still a lot of value in trying to send it into other jurisdictions than it is trying to sell them on the open markets here. And that's why we have not been bombarded to the level which other countries have been dealing with. Because the meth crisis in the US is astronomical. But we know that young people in this country are looking for all kinds of means to drug themselves. There's no question about it. So that if these things are able to reduce the cost points not in terms of only what they'll get, but the risk of arrest, the investment to be able to conceal, all of those things, that it makes commercial sense for them to target our domestic market. We for sure know that this is going to be the case for us.
So I was referring earlier to the Minister for Youth Development. He said that 37% of SHS students are exposed to drugs. That's Torkornoo.
It's true. I
believe.
He showed us this. We visited and he showed.
The NCC also warned that drug abuse threatens the future of our youth, and we're dealing with these same statistics. Yes.
You know one issue. Not long. I think last week or last 2 weeks we did last week we did a case with Central University. We arrested about 5 students from Central University. The challenge with them was that it was not even an outsider coming in to, let's say, bring the drugs to the campus. It was the students. That's the danger. The students themselves. Sorry?
Weed?
Yes. They are infused ice creams.
The weed. Let's decriminalize the weed and stop chasing
everything.
Let's decriminalize the weed and stop chasing the weed and focus on the other one. Because we are spending too much investigative capacity chasing.
Sulemana Isifu, Dr. Sulemana Isifu says that drugs have destroyed many young people in our country. It's so sad how many people I have seen destroyed by drugs. Let's take this matter seriously, because aside the international reputational damage, the future of our young ones are in danger of being destroyed. That's why they should be telling us the people who are involved. You will tell us later.
Tell you now. We will tell you.
When will you tell us?
I will tell you something. I will tell you. You know all of them all.
No, it's not about me. I'm talking about.
No, when I say you, I mean.
Right. So Ewenam says, when the police release a statement, they mention names of suspects or the accused persons, but whenever NACOC issue a statement, they never mention names.
The kind of cases we handle are different too.
Why are they protecting the drug barons? That's a question that he's asking. Why are you protecting the drug barons?
No, but take that.
Sergio,
I agree that we will bring
Sergio Leonard says that Article 1911, no person shall be convicted of a criminal offense unless the offense is defined and the penalty for it is prescribed in a written law. Clause 12, Clause 11 of this article says that Clause 11 of this article shall not prevent a superior court from punishing a person for contempt of itself, notwithstanding that the act or omission constituting the contempt is not defined in a written law and the penalty is not prescribed. So he says, by Article 1912, a Contempt of Court Act cannot solve the problem. Our constitution is sui generis. But my response to him is that the countries where we are learning this jurisprudence, in the UK, in India, and so on, they have Contempt of Court Acts, they have Defamation Acts, and then they make reservations for, as it were, anti-SLAPP legislation. A couple of lawyers are saying, am I saying all journalists will be professional and therefore they cannot be stopped from doing what is unprofessional? And some of them are saying they disagree with me when I push the arguments that they should not suffer custodial sentences because some of them deserve it. And Chubuesiako says that in the UK, there are many cases where the courts would place an embargo on media reporting, especially by preventing the media from naming suspects until such embargoes are lifted. What you would observe is that the UK media duly comply with such embargoes. Even when they publish reports on such cases on their portals, they make sure they disable the comment section to ensure that not even their readers can breach the embargo. Why are we looking for different situations for Ghanaian journalists? All right, thanks for those comments. The show once again is brought to you by Gold Board Jewelry, pure, precious, proudly Ghanaian. Malcolm, your #1 shopping destination. Waylead, your trusted home builder. Bethel Dental, the smile starts here. St. Thomas Eye Hospital, providing excellence in healthcare, and Curl Charcoal Toothpaste. Happy smile. My guests you have been watching and listening to, Alexander Chumberema. There's somebody who has sent us a message long ago and said we haven't had you on the show for a long time, so he's hoping to have you. I hope you are happy today. Deputy Director General, Narcotics Control Commission, Arthur Kennedy, who joined us earlier. Now we've put him in trouble. He missed his flight, but he says definitely he will be there to support the Black Stars. He's a physician and political activist. Oliver Bakavomo, Constitutional Rights and Policy Strategy Advisor to the Democracy Hub. Many of you have sent messages about the comments I made about him. That's so true of him. He's a consummate professional. John Dako, Member of Parliament for Siame. He's actually the legal counsel for the minority as well. Gentlemen, thank you also very much for making time to be here. Swami, you say yes. All right, have a good afternoon.